Metaphysics is going to have to be the quote-unquote religion of tomorrow. If it isn't, you're fucked. Totally and absolutely.
This weekend, man. So I had to celebrate by barbecuing some food, and also I see myself being pretty busy for the next couple of days. So the next few days, I don't have to do any fancy cooking. That'll help. So I'll just barbecue a bunch of food today, and
There
everybody
you go.
days for the next 3 days.
There you go. Whenever I cook in mass too. I cooked chicken yesterday. Couldn't grill it, but I put it in the oven at like 250 for like 4 hours. Just
Nice.
cook it real slow. My girl's
Yeah.
like, "How you get it to fall off the bone like this? You gotta cook it slow. You can't rush it, honey. Gotta
It's a
cook it
man
slow."
thing. I'm a pro.
Yeah.
Good shit, man. So how was the weekend?
It's great, man. It's exhausting.
Mm.
Um, Took the woman to the Magic Kingdom and the Animal Kingdom. We were supposed to go to Epcot, but she was way too exhausted. We ended up leaving a day early. We did like 15 miles of walking in 2 days. So by day three, she just take me home.
Yeah.
Just just ride the skyline with me. I want to ride the Epcot, but I don't want to go in. And then we'll just ride the skyline back
Mm.
and then take me home.
Yeah, 15. That's a lot of walking.
It's
15
it's a
miles in 2 days.
Yeah, you're
Damn.
gonna if you stay at the theme parks, you're gonna do a lot of walking, man.
Oh
And
yeah.
but you know what? It's a magical place. It's truly magical. It for a moment it broke through my curmudgeoniness. Just kind of being in awe of like all the architecture and all the. I mean, it's a level of decadence on display. Like it's a civilization that really has run out of things to do. We're
Yeah.
not trying to figure out how to feed ourselves or protect ourselves from predators. Like, you know what? Let's just make something up. Let's spend billions of dollars crafting just a total artificial reality that people will buy to come and experience. And it definitely my conspiracy theory brain was working the whole time too. So I'm like, oh, this is definitely. There's underground tunnels. All the rides are to get the adrenaline pumping.
Yep.
This is Adrenochrome Salvaging Center is what this is.
Absolutely. One Monsters Inc. factory right there.
Right. It's just get on this thing. We're gonna pretend we're gonna kill you. You're not gonna really die, but you're gonna be really excited. And then maybe between the end of the ride and getting to your parents, maybe you don't make it. Maybe something happens in between and you end up in a Disney tunnel.
Listen, it's freaking 10,000 kids here. Three or four of them disappear. I mean, what can you do?
What was dope is that because of first of all, I was surprised that so many giant people were out because of COVID. Because I think I dropped like 30 pounds since this thing started, but I still got like another 50 to drop before I'm really feeling healthy. So I can't talk. This is like the fattest I've been in my life. So I was a little concerned, like, the COVID's out there, but I was just shocked at all of just the mass of people. First of all, how many massive people there were. Like it was, I would say a good 50 to 55% people that were 400 pounds plus.
Mm,
Like, you know what I mean? Like, not just you got a little extra weight. Like, it's tough for you to sit down and get back up type stuff.
good
And
Lord.
I'm like, none of you are terrified of the COVID? Nobody?
Were they on like motorized Wally scooters?
There was a couple. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a couple of
Because
them.
I'm wondering, in
But
a place like that demands so much walking, how do you even, get navigate that place comfortably at that size? And it's not like me body shaming. I'm just thinking like logistics. I mean, it seems like it would be even a lot more walking for somebody who's that big.
yeah, and I'm not trying to body shame. And it did kind of motivate me because it felt so good to walk that much. And I noticed like I was so sleepy, and then I just hydrated up, and I realized I'm like, man, I'm not drinking enough water. This is
Yeah.
why I don't have energy to do shit. Because I used to be really disciplined about making sure to get my sufficient amount. But once I had my energy up, I'm like, yo, this is great. So once I got back, made sure to doing at least 100 push-ups a day. I got my little ridiculous cheap home body gym like with the stretchy bands, but at least it's
Right.
something. I got the dumbbell, to do, overhead presses and curls. So I just got back into it. It was really motivating because I was like, man, um, I'm not so out of shape that this is a task for me. I thought I would be tired before my girl was, so I was a little proud of that. But I was like, I don't ever want to get to that point. So I need to really tighten up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not to shame those people because it's not to make anybody feel bad. It's not what I'm trying to do. I wasn't there like giggling, like, look, they're massive. It's not even about that. It was just it was just surprising that they were braving, theme
Right.
park, which is it's international travelers. There's a heightened opportunity possibly to get infected, and if you're that big, you're especially at risk, but they all threw caution to the wind. And most of them, were pushing strollers. They had the little, all of the little knapsacks and accoutrements necessary to make the treks and the journey. So they were walking. There was only a couple people. I could say I only saw two people that were on the Rascals, but they were like 6 plus. They were like really big.
Wow.
But
Well, I guess
everybody else,
people
yeah,
said fuck
walking.
it. They went for it. I
Yeah,
don't blame them. Because
caution to the wind.
I went not too long ago before we went to on the cruise. I was over there and in Orlando, and just a little bit we did. We were only there one day with the boys before the day before the cruise. So just in that one day, it was just like fun. And we didn't, of course, didn't see everything, didn't do everything. We just kind of moved through the place and then back out, and that shit took like 6 hours.
Yeah.
We did a couple rides here and there, but it's like it's definitely a whole lot of walking and a whole lot of selling of super expensive refreshments because they know how much you're gonna be walking. They're gonna get you for a $7 icy, which is pretty much just a little bit of cold, like a little bit of water and a little bit of sugar and some red, and yeah, it's gonna cost you $11. And you're like, fuck, bro. But you've been walking and shit. So and then if you want like a water, the water's like $9. So you might as well take the fucking slushy. At least get some sugar and some red in your diet and help you walk around a little longer.
I don't
That's
know when I was there, everything was pretty reasonably priced, man. I
really
don't know if they were trying to. Yeah, I was like shocked. Like it's a $10 hamburger, right? But you gonna pay $10 for a hamburger if you go to like
yeah,
Ruby
pretty
Tuesday or something.
yeah.
So I was like, this is pretty reasonable. Coffee was like $3. Bottle of water was like $3 or $4.
Oh,
It
that
was
that must be
definitely.
post pandemic prices.
I
That's
don't
what that
know.
is.
I guess maybe they're trying to drum up business and cause dude, I thought for sure I was gonna be out of there at like 1500. I was like, okay, if I could get out of here at 1500 is what I'm expecting. If I can come in under, I'll be happy. And I'm talking about everything. Everybody got a souvenir. My girl wanted this it's ridiculous but adorable like backpack. It's the most unicorn backpack I've ever seen. Like all the zippers are like rainbow colored, but like that chrome, like
Yeah,
rainbow color, like when you see an oil slick. Like I
yeah.
was looking at it, I'm like, this shit is overpriced, but I can't front. If I was into unicorns, I would think this is the shit. All right, let's just blow $60 on it. If you want it, honey, you can have it.
There you go.
Like keychains, hats, mugs. I did the whole thing. So I got the bill for the hotel, and they were even because we left the day early. I'm like, they're not going to take the day off, but they took the day off. They're like, cool, you want to leave early? No problem. We'll refund it back to you. I got out of there for like less than $600 and didn't spare anything. Bought every meal at the
Wow.
motel. Anybody wanted a snack, got a snack. Anybody that wanted a drink, got a drink. Yo, for everything. The hotel, the meals, the parks,
Right.
it was like $600. Now I did have a person with me that was an employee that got us free tickets in. So I don't know how much it would have been if I had to pay for the actual tickets of entrance. But
Right.
the deal was is I pay for the hotel, they get me in free with the tickets. It worked out lovely.
That's awesome, dude. That sounds like a great fucking trip. And for that price, you can't beat it.
Nah, man,
You can't
not at
beat
all.
it.
You
That's
could blow
dope.
that at the bar in one night of irresponsibility easily.
Oh, you going to the hospital. You blow $600 at the bar, you going to the hospital.
Well, that's you being everybody's friend. Let me
Oh,
buy you a
okay,
drink.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true. That's true. It wouldn't take long at all. People love free drinks. That,
Absolutely.
that shit'll be gone in about 35 seconds. At the right bar at the right time of day, you say drinks on me, yeah, $600 gone in about 30 seconds. I ain't mad though. That's good shit, man. Yeah, we kind of stayed local. We didn't do too much this weekend. We hit up a couple spots. I ended up back at the native plant nursery again. I was like,
Love.
yeah, I was like, I'm in the area. We might as well stop again. So we got a bunch more plants and shit, and went to see one of my homeboys, and then we stopped by this cool ass little crystal shop and shit. Well, it's not just a crystal shop. They had all. It's called the Emporium. They had all kinds of shit in there, just anything you can think of. But it looked like somebody had took two or three small little beach houses and like joined them together and just turned it into a retail store. It was super. It was crazy. I never seen nothing like it. But it was fun. It was fun. We got a bunch of cool shit, little trinkets for the kids, stickers for their skateboards and shit. Spending some money with the locals, man. Buy some overpriced coffee, shit like that. Have a good time.
And didn't you though? Didn't you have a good
Yeah,
time?
yeah, I fucking did. I ain't gonna front. It was good because I mean, we went out there with the intention of, spending the whole day on this other side of town. So I knew we were gonna end up eating or stopping. So I mean, you just, that's just what's gonna happen. So I was prepared. I was ready. Just let it all fly. It's good to have those kind of days. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And it's just simple and it's so good to be in a place mentally where that kind of just simple stuff is just there's nothing better than it. You
Right.
spend time with the people that you love, you enjoy you buy maybe an overpriced coffee, but it's not like the necessity for just this like extraordinary over the top excessive kind of thing. It's like what would just be kind of simple and mundane. I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but I know for me, like that at this point in my life, that's the most enjoyable shit right now,
Yeah.
more than anything.
Yeah.
Like, it's very, very valued.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. It's a spot that we always go to over there. And it's like this you set this bar in your head sometimes because at sometimes you don't want to do that shit at all. You're like, yeah, I don't want to go here because I'm gonna end up spending a bunch of money. I don't want to spend no money right now. And other times it's different. But this little spot that we go to, that's always what the measurement because when we're on that side of town, we both know we want this food, and we don't get over there often. We both know we want it, so it's like, how are we feeling today? We're gonna go say fuck it, just buy it. The shit is so good, it's unbelievable, bro. The shawarma and fucking just all
Oh
of
yeah.
it's crazy, unbelievable. But yeah, yesterday was one of those days, man. It was awesome. I had a great fucking weekend, a lot of creativity flowing. Had a studio session with my homie Jamie. We went over to Rudy's
Oh
and
lovely.
yeah, so we got to build with him for a day, recorded some vocals and shit. Yeah, it was good, man. It was good. It was a very energetic weekend. Very energetic weekend. I had an awesome time. I'm back out in the garden today, planting these native flowers, trying to bring in all the dope pollinators and the hummingbirds and shit. This place is really about to turn into a fucking utopia, bro. It really is. It's getting serious over here right now. I think the native plants made all the difference. Like we were talking about it for a long time, and then when we finally got into this, we like, let's just fuck it, let's go start doing it, and going to this place and seeing how much shit they had. It was hard not to load up. So like I said, we did it twice already, and I think we'll probably be back within the next couple months because this is the stuff that ties everything together in the garden because you got all these fruit trees, you got a bunch of stuff you're trying to make grow. But when you have the native versions of a lot of these herbs and medicines and flowers, it just turns the garden into a whole nother thing. The way they have their shit laid out at the actual nursery where you go shop for the plants, it tells you everything you need to know right there because they got all of their own plants, tucked in all these cool places, some in the sun, some in the shade. And while you're walking around, you're like, yeah, this is exactly what I'm about to do. I see the blueprint right now. So yeah, over the next few months, this shit should take off. It's just gonna have a whole new energy to the garden, man. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, man, that sounds awesome, dude.
Yeah, dude, it's been good so far. Got some nice meds yesterday too. I got some edibles, some nice edibles. Yo, this cookie that I got it was a chocolate covered Oreo, and it was 50 milligrams, and 50 milligrams THC in the Oreo, and this is
What
like
does that translate into?
50 milligrams. I mean, okay, if you rolled a joint, it depends on how much you're smoking, but if you
Right.
rolled a joint and smoked it by yourself, you might be getting 20.
Okay.
So you're
So
talking
it's like
about
taking almost like three joints to the head, just all
basically.
at once. Okay.
Right. And but the good thing about like really good edibles is that it's a very mild entry into the buzz and a mild exit. And that's if it's cooked right and done properly. But sometimes they have like liquid THC that they put. So they'll just make a gummy
Mm-hmm.
and just drip liquid THC on it and say this is a 10 milligram gummy. That's different than like making butter or something with the THC,
Right.
cooking it into it. Like that's a whole different process. So the one where they just drip it on there, that kind of spikes faster. You don't feel nothing for a while, and then you're like, maybe I'll eat another one, and the next thing you know, you're all fucked up because you didn't think it was gonna work. But yeah, these cookies are fucking amazing. I'm pretty sure I was high overnight. I'm not
Yeah, I would
positive.
imagine so.
I'm pretty sure I ate it last night. I was buzzed out all night watching some Netflix shit, and we finally went to sleep. And I woke up this morning, and I was just like, I think it's still there. That shit was lingering like a motherfucker, but it was an awesome cookie though. And that's the bad part. If I had like six of them with the just as the way they taste and how high you get, you would probably eat three or four of them by mistake, thinking that they're just actual snacks.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
that you might as well just get some heroin. If you're gonna eat that many cookies, you just
Yeah,
you're
just go
not gonna be
straight to
able
the
to do
vein.
much. Just
Straight to the vein, bro.
it'll probably be cheaper. I heard heroin is at an all-time low right now.
I would
$5 will do
imagine.
you right.
I would
Yeah.
imagine so. Yeah, I don't think it's a big market for heroin right now. I don't think so.
Heroin, the heroin market is hurting. It's trying to drum up business.
We got to do something about that. But this, yeah, you eat five of those cookies, it'd be a problem. You probably, I'm
Oh,
pretty sure you think you were gonna die. You wouldn't die unless you got scared and jumped off something. You might die, but the actual THC is not gonna kill you. That's the slickness that they do when they talk about people dying from this shit. It's like you don't die from smoking. You can't. First of all, you can't smoke too much weed. Oh, they're nice. You can't smoke too much weed. That you'll just
well, I
fall.
think there's an amount that technically can kill you, but there's no way for you to ingest that much as
Yeah,
quickly as you would need to kill yourself.
right. Yeah, there's no way to do it. It's impossible. You're just gonna pass out. That's
Right.
the most you can hope for is to wake up after you tried to kill yourself with some weed and, and forget what you were even doing. It's like, what was that? I don't even remember. Pretty sure I tried to
Yeah,
kill
that
myself
would
with
be a
weed.
hilarious storyline. Is this like suicidal emo girl who's disappointed every morning she wakes up? She's like, I took the whole bottle of THC pills. I took the whole thing, and it's not working.
No, you just slept for 3 days. That's, that's all that happened. You're not gonna
He
do
had
it.
some really vivid dreams, and that was it. But
Now,
no,
if
you
you
comes
fuck
back to
around
real.
and eat 6 or 7 pot brownies at a rooftop hotel party,
Yeah, it could go bad.
that could go bad.
A
But
lot
it's
of
not gonna be the
flashing
weed.
lights, access to the pavement.
Yeah,
Things could go awry.
express access to the paper. Yeah, it's not good, bro. So yeah, that's what they try to slip in all those accidents and people going crazy and doing shit to themselves. Like that's not the same. You could buy enough alcohol from the store right now to just to kill yourself, and nobody would even try to stop you. You could go there and buy 8 bottles of Everclear right now. They'd be like, "All right, here you go. That
That's
shit'll kill
true.
you." I don't even think you'll make it through. Honestly, I don't even
No,
think you
you
make it through
wouldn't
eight
make it through
bottles.
one bottle.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think I think I think one bottle is a wrap.
Nah, I'm sure there's people drinking Everclear in a night. Drink a
I,
bottle of Everclear in a night.
In my younger days, I've been at parties where Everclear was available. 5 or 6 shots, maybe with a couple of, whiskeys here and there. Woke up in the back of a pickup truck outside the next morning. No idea how I got there. Walked into the house. It looked like a war movie with just bodies everywhere. Just bodies all over the floor, all over the couch, some in the kitchen, some in the living room. Like those binge drinking days, I think about it now and I'm just like, so much pain on the liver. So many years shaved off my life just to be like, hey, we got extra drunk. Like, we probably all could have had a good time, like sipping some wine. We would have got a nice little buzz and nobody would have woke up in the back of a truck.
Yeah, I remember I'm pretty sure I remember all the times I was ever like over the top sick drunk. I'm pretty sure it was like 3 or 4 times in my whole life, and that's it. And you can remember each one of them like it
Oh,
was
yeah.
yesterday. Oh
Yeah,
my
because you
goodness,
got
dude.
that 3-day hangover. You
Yeah.
go to sleep the next day, you're like, oh, because you've had a hangover before, more than likely. So you think, I'm going to wake up and everything's going to be fine tomorrow. And you wake up the next day, you're like, fuck, I am still hungover. And that
Yeah.
shit lasts for like 2 or 3 days because you probably have some mild alcohol poisoning.
Yeah, when you drinking cheap liquor and beer at the same time, you're in for a fucking party, bro. You're in for a party. I remember. Oh, nice.
How
I
many brownies
remember.
are you deep right now?
No, I only had one cookie yesterday, and that was it. I had one yesterday. That was it. So I'm waiting to experiment with it. So I want to give it a few days before I have another one, just so I can know for sure. The other ones I have are actually 100 milligram chocolate chip
Oh,
cookies.
dear
So that's going to
God.
be interesting. That's going to be. I think I'll split those though. I'm not going to eat them. Well, you never know. We'll see. You gotta know, right? You gotta figure these things out. You gotta know your limits, know your numbers. So if I ever get my hands on edibles again, I'll know, like, okay, 100 milligrams is my limit. That's as far as I go. It's 100 milligrams. But you got to push those boundaries a little bit to figure it out. I don't get edibles often just because they're not always that interesting to me. The only reason I got these because they were like special. You
Yeah.
don't get a chance to get your hands on this kind of shit often. So I was like, fuck it, I'll try it out. That's what's going to be in all the stores right now anyway. The edibles, this THC shit is going to flip sooner than later, but the edibles are legal now. You can buy them from the True Leaves and all of that shit. You can get brownies and cookies and gummies and anything you need, bro.
Let's hope so, because I dumped some money in these shit pot stocks. Well, once the Biden administration came on, they were talking about national legalization. Like, okay, might as well. Might as well. Even if they're still worthless, there'll be a spike just because of the industry. People will flock to them for a minute. It'll have some hype.
Yeah, oh yeah. I think it's gonna be some of the biggest shit. Not some Wild West, fucking gold rush type shit. Because it's been medical for a long time, and a lot of people made a lot of money. But when it goes full recreational, especially in states like Florida, it's happening state by state anyway. They're decriminalizing it. Just
Right.
it's a slippery slope to full recreational pretty much across the whole country, maybe with the exception of a few asshole states. Until they see all that extra money coming in, then they'll figure it out. And that's the good thing about this is all they really have to do is what they always do, which is follow the money. Follow the money. It's gonna be booming, unbelievably booming. So I'm looking forward to that shit. I think it's going to change the world in a way that we need to see. Having everybody have access to legal weed so you can't get pulled over and locked up for going to buy it and having it in your car. Decriminalized to the degree. I mean, I'm sure they don't want people smoking joints and chilies and shit like that. So they're going to
Right.
have to.
Just do it at your home.
Right.
Don't be the dummy that fucks it up for everybody. It's like, I'm going to eat two of these 100 milligram cookies and then drive to Patty's house. Stay the fuck
Yeah.
home.
Yeah,
Don't
we don't need that.
endanger other people with your high Just sit at home and chill the fuck out.
Right. That shit's going to be beautiful, bro. I feel like there's going to be so many social benefits Like, just think about the stress, the level of stress that's removed, because everybody's smoking weed anyway. Pretty much everybody's. For every one person you know who doesn't smoke, they know 12 people who do.
And I don't know that necessarily everybody's an active smoker. It could just be, anybody's given circle that they're dealing with. It may be more prevalent, but I gotta say, at least everybody, the majority of people have tried it. At
Yeah,
least 85% of the population, I'd say, at least in our age bracket. Like I don't personally know anyone that never tried it.
right. I know a lot of, I mean, I feel like more people than we think are smoking on the regular. But that's where these places aren't just in business because people have medical, you know who they've been giving medical marijuana licenses to, right? I'm sure there's a lot of,
Corporations,
no, I
like
mean, the
big
people who have them,
corporations, cigarette companies.
but
Because I
the
know,
people
wasn't
who
there a
have
lot
them,
of cigarette companies that bought like the vapor companies?
oh yeah, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. But the people who have their license to go shop at True Leave and shit like that, most 90% of the people who went and got their license, all they had to do was talk to a doctor and tell them some ailments that they have. Nobody's really getting, ain't nobody getting no CAT scans to have to get, like, it's just, yo, I
Oh
get
no,
headaches,
it's
I don't sleep that good, and my knee hurts when it rains. They're like, oh, good,
no.
here
You
you go.
pay your $400 and you go to the doctor. If you have trouble
Right.
with sleeping, if you got aches and pains, you
Anything.
can. It's it. I looked at the list. It's so broad and it lists so many different ailments. I don't foresee anybody that would apply for it and not be able to get it.
Right. Exactly. And that's what I mean by everybody smoking, because that's who's keeping these True Leaves open. And then a lot of the people who are getting, they give you so much, they like the allotment that they usually give you is so much that people are flipping this shit too. I mean, this is not news. It's not snitching or nothing. I mean, this is just the world.
Dry snitching.
This is just the world. You go buy some shit from True Leaf, you get a little bit
You
extra.
you you speculate that that may be something that's going on. You don't have any knowledge of such a thing.
Listen, I
As your
disavow.
attorney,
You're right, right. I disavow all my prior statements. What I actually meant to
it's
say
the cookies
was
talking.
right. See, yeah, I can't be trusted, motherfucker. I had 50 milligrams of THC last night. I can't be trusted. Can't trust anything I say. So, but that's what people are doing. So,
Allegedly, supposedly.
it's just too easy. This is the world. People are getting. I mean, giving people hemp licenses to grow CBD and grow industrial hemp is basically just a foot in the door to be able to grow recreational marijuana or
Yeah,
cannabis.
the problem is always people, because it always seemed absurd to me that something, now this isn't something like cocaine that you got to go and refine. You know what I mean? So like pharmaceuticals, you're talking about Percocets or fentanyl or whatever. These are things you need a laboratory, you need a refinement process. I understand regulating or even outlawing certain substances like that, that you're really going out of your way to bring out the psychoactive or the chemical properties in each respective substance, specifically to get people fucked up. Okay.
Right.
I get that, right? But with weed, I was always like, it's some shit that's literally as natural as poison ivy, right? You wouldn't rub poison ivy all over your body. It's natural, right? But yeah, you wouldn't do that. It'd be painful. So nobody's outlawing poison ivy. Like, you're not allowed to grow it. It has to be destroyed wherever you see it, right? But you'll have things where, I don't know if you've ever seen some of those videos. When I was a pothead, it was absolutely heartbreaking when you would see them just burning up fields of marijuana,
Oh yeah.
just
Oh
just coming through
yeah.
and burning up fields of it,
Yeah.
fields. And you're just like, oh, that's the saddest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
That's
That's
so
just
sad.
heartbreaking. It's
And
heartbreaking.
yeah, and so the amount of energy that's invested in eradicating something that obviously is purposeful, it's survived in the evolutionary ecosystem to where it's still around today. Like, why would we ever throw out any, especially if we haven't cured cancer yet? Let's not take any of the plants, off the table just yet. Maybe we haven't figured out how to extract the right shit out of it. But the idea that we needed to go to this much trouble to make sure people don't have access to something that occurs as naturally as air and sunshine just
Right.
always seemed so insane to me. But then you see how irresponsible people can be. Like, okay, I understand if you're a creative person, you smoke a little bit, you do some writing, smoke a little bit, do some art, smoke a little bit while you're at work or whatever, or when you get off work to relax. I understand that. That's a world away from me. People who just they have it incorporated into their daily routine in a lifestyle way. It that's incorporated into the life in such a way that it's clearly a vice. Like you don't got
Right.
no savings account, but you always got weed. Like, and you're just using weed like totally recreational. Like, yeah, I could watch Netflix, but I want to watch Netflix on weed. Like, I just have to always have it. And like I think it's just like sex. Like if you have a really cavalier, casual attitude towards sex, like yeah, it can be really, really destructive. If you associate some kind of sacred quality to it, or understand there's some degree of responsibility with it, then I think you wielded the experience different. And it's just something where it's like, I know there's probably a lot of people that would get a lot of positive benefits from it, but there's so many people who are going to be pointed to as the examples of why it's a problem. Why I think it's still going to face a lot of cultural pushback.
Most likely, but that's mostly because people are hypocrites. Because none of these people make any of those arguments when you talk about alcohol. They just never do. No matter how many dudes beat their wives, no matter how many people get drunk and drive on the highway and kill innocent families, they never say we got to take another look at this alcohol thing. They
Right.
just leave the irresponsible people in their own category. Nobody expects alcohol to have healing, healing compounds in it. It don't have to do nothing for you except make you drunk and destroy your liver. But for some reason, cannabis is like, but does
Yeah.
it really help you? They're like, yeah, it's just like, oh, hippies and people aren't going to have jobs because they're going to smoke. It's like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Nobody thinks
There's
about
no
that with
argument.
alcohol.
Yeah. There's no argument to be made when you put them head to head. The
Yeah,
rationale that
none.
justifies why liquor is still available but weed is illegal. Yeah. It's a waste of energy.
Yeah,
But I mean, even still, I mean, we have in recent history the results of prohibition. I mean, it didn't work.
right.
It didn't work. It was a waste of time. It was a waste of government resources. So I definitely see, and I've always looked at it like this: um, whatever you do that creates consequences, whether you are high or not, is irrelevant. Like if you stole something because you needed it for drug money, right? You'd still get in trouble for stealing anyway. It
Right.
wasn't the drug that was the problem. It was the person managing their life in such a way that they needed to steal in order to get access to drugs. That's a whole nother thing. Or if you're behind the wheel of a car, or if you're doing some shit irresponsibly, you're not going to be excused from your offense because you were high. Yeah, you did not get high responsibly. So I think you apply the same standard in holding people accountable, um, just like you would if they did something while they were drunk. Well, I didn't mean to punch the officer. I was drunk. You
Oh,
still
well,
going to jail. Yeah.
right. Yeah. So that's it's a stigma that only applies itself somehow to cannabis, and it's most likely because of everything that's been related to it from the beginning. Like I think when they tried to outlaw alcohol, it was mostly a social thing. They were just like, "Oh, you're not a good person if you drink alcohol, and only bad people do this." So it was just a good or bad social thing. Do you want to be this guy or this
Right.
guy? But cannabis was super racially motivated for some reason. It was like, it makes Mexicans rape people and the Negroes smoke it. And like, there was this really weird racial, even the phrase marijuana, like, like there's a really
Right.
weird racial connotation to how they were able to integrate the idea into society that this was a bad thing. So that's I think why it's been so much harder because alcohol, it only took 32 seconds the day before they made it legal, you were the scourge of society. You were a disgusting human being. The day after they made it legal, you were in the bar as a socialite having a drink like a well adjusted adult. There was no
Right.
downtime. Everybody jumped on the train. Maybe a few, rickety old people was like, oh, they're drinking over there at the speakeasy. But for the most part, everybody hopped on board with that shit because everybody was already drinking. They was just pretending publicly that it was one thing and the other, but everybody was already drinking. The guys who headed up the fucking the to round up all the bad guys who were bootlegging alcohol, those motherfuckers had brandy in their houses. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. That's just human hypocrisy. That's what they do. Everybody's smoking weed now. And that's what's going to make it easier to open it up for full recreational because they already understand that. They just want more money. They know the money's still being spent. Somebody's going to get it. Either the drug dealer's going to get it. And now the drug dealers got the same shit they got in True Leave at this point. It's the same thing. It's not
Yeah.
like you got to get compressed brick weed on the street, but only if you go to True Leave you get the goods. Like, no, the fire's on the street too.
Yeah, it's really there's no argument to be made because any kind of reality that could be pointed to as the inevitable bad fallout from people having access to it is like, listen, if it wasn't legalized, people would still find a way to get, like, heroin's not legal, cocaine is not legal, and there's still people that have ruined their own lives and are a constant pain in the ass to the people around them that are finding ways to get access to it. So
Right.
it's not like just because it's legal, now everybody who would have otherwise been responsible is just going to become irresponsible now that they have access to it.
Right.
But I know that that's what I mean, and that always seems to be the line that they take when they make the argument, because everybody knows someone, they got like a 36-year-old, brother or son or somebody that all they do is smoke weed and they don't get shit accomplished. So they'd be like, see, is this really what we want to introduce, to our society where people aren't being productive, and but those people are going to exist regardless. So I think
Yeah.
what might be smart is just like you get a license to drive, you should get a license for sacraments. You should have to take some classes
Mm.
about utilizing it responsibly. You don't do that for alcohol, right? You're 21, will give you enough alcohol to kill yourself, like you said, right? So if that maybe gives people a little bit more of if it maybe makes it seem a little more credible or responsible and opponents of it, like it sets their mind at ease, I think that might be a smart compromise. Like, yeah, you got to go get licensed, you got to take some classes on responsible usage, and you're held to a higher standard, just like when you get your concealed carry permit. You're gonna be held, if something goes down, to a higher standard than somebody that doesn't carry that permit. You're
Right.
expected to know. So yeah. So if you do something that's irresponsible and you do abuse it, right? Then maybe there's harsher sentencing. Like, you had the license, you knew the consequences, responsibility, you agreed to use it responsibly, and you didn't. I
I ain't
don't
mad
know.
at that.
That
I ain't
that
mad
that
at that
may
at all.
because you got to get the people that disagree with you to get on board and compromise if you're going to realistically get anything done.
Yeah, I like that. I ain't mad at that at all. I think if there's classes, like you said, where you can actually learn about this stuff, the science is available now. So before you even get to True Leave or where any one of these other places, you can know what type of percentages you want to deal with, whether you want indicas, sativas, or hybrid. Do you want to use it in the day or something for at night, or what? It's everything that you want to use it for. It's already been, all the information's already been pulled together and separated for you and however you need to approach it. So I think that shit is dope. I think actually tying people into the knowledge and getting them to learn about what they're using it. I mean, for people who actually want to be legally moving around smoking, buying and shit like that, then why not, dude? Let them go take a fucking 45-minute class or some shit like that and give them their freaking weed license. Or you have a different class for every different thing you want to get a license for.
Yeah,
They should have
I
a
think maybe
psychedelics one too.
you have like a general class, and then you could you could start getting into like specialties, and you get held to a higher standard. So it's like, okay, you're licensed for that cocaine, but you're not licensed for that heroin. So there's going to be harsher penalties. Why do you have heroin? And if you are maybe doing something like you speculated that some people may be doing, you'd probably get in more trouble for that too.
Right.
You know, because you're dispensing it to people who are haven't they don't have the license. And really, I think all of this shit should be ran like some sort of Illuminati cult. You got to have degrees of initiation. I think we give too much freedom to too many people right off the bat. You need to do something to demonstrate to the rest of civilization that you're worthy. I don't think we should just be handing everything to everybody. And I think
Yeah.
that's why we have a lot of this fuckery that we have. Like, I need to be on some more, like, you need to show me some evidence that you have the capacity to wield X, Y, or Z. It's not just, I'm here, I'm an American, hand it over. That's insufficient.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially when you calculate all the shit that people could be doing that involves other people having to suffer because of one person's bad decisions. I mean, that makes sense. That makes sense. I would
And
definitely like for people to have an alcohol license, just
I
personal
was just
alcohol
about to say,
licenses, bro.
yeah, you were in my head. And this is one step, and we should go ahead right off the bat and transition that right over to alcohol.
Yeah.
And regulate alcohol just like we regulate all these other substances that have been erroneously and unjustly kept from the public while alcohol has been perfectly legal. So it's time for alcohol to pay up. It's time
Yeah.
for you to have some more stigma put on you because it
100%.
definitely everybody knows somebody whose alcohol has ruined their life.
Yeah. 100%, dude. I just saw the other day we was caught up in some traffic on the way back home, and we happened to be going past this spot where recently some cop got killed by a drunk driver.
Mm.
Dude was just drunk, drive and killed a cop, and I was like, yeah, you know, you're screwed. But they have the little, you know, the memorial thing out on the side of the road and shit. And we were talking about that for a few minutes. This guy who did that shit, I'm pretty sure he had like 17 felonies already, and he was just still out in the street bugging out.
Yeah, Violence Island.
Yeah, oh yeah, he straight to Violence Island. If he even makes it, because you know, I mean, this dude just killed a cop, so who knows what kind of treatment he's getting right now. He's probably playing around the anal Jeopardy right now.
17 felonies. And what's crazy is that there's people who have over 100 felonies. There's people with triple digit felonies that aren't imprisoned.
Make that make sense.
Yeah, that's insane.
Make that make sense. How do you get triple digit felonies and you still get to just walk around and hang out?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for rehabilitation. You fuck up. We need to not make you a better criminal. We need to figure out if we can rehabilitate you and unravel all of your psychological trauma that led you to be the piece of shit that you may currently be, and see if you can be refined into the better version of you. But once you can't, right? Once we made a couple attempts, I don't know. We can't get to 115. We can't get to
Nah,
115
dude.
felonies, and you're still out here with the rest of us, fucking the experience it up for everybody else that's following the rules.
Yeah, we can't have that shit, bro. That's why we need a Violence Island like yesterday. A lot of problems will be solved in regular society. I think the threat of prison is not good enough no more, just because people come back out of prison and it's like the OG shit, and like
The
we have
badge of
this,
honor.
yeah, the culture that celebrates it. I think it would be better off if we just had people never come back from Violence Island, and it's also, you know, the pay per view channel that streams what's going on Violence Island. And I think eventually, I think it would people would get the picture pretty quickly. I don't think it would take long because you know it's no coming back. It's a wrap for you. Once you get sent there, there's no more time. It's not like, oh, you got 30 years. Like, no, if you hit the island, it's a wrap. It's done for your whole life. We need
I
that
tried
shit.
to explain Violence Island to somebody. I actually want to have him on the show. He was vehemently opposed. He kept
Really?
picking it apart. Oh, yes, absolutely.
How what how
He
could
thought
you?
it was the most inhumane thing. I was like, listen,
That's the
we're gonna
whole
have a
point.
weekend. We're gonna get you on, and I want you. And I enjoy this because I felt like I defended it immaculately to a T. I've never been more on point. Um, but yeah, you should criticize it and pick it apart. And at every point that he tried to pick it apart, I'm like, no, this it still makes even more sense now. Thank you for giving me this resistance so I could flex this muscle. Thank you.
Right. Yeah, dude. I think it's foolproof. I think it's fucking golden. We have people who are career criminals who have no plans of stopping, no plan, we send them to a place where, like you said, it's a badge of honor if you get out, and if you stay in there long enough, that just makes you a more efficient predator. So,
Well, here's the thing. This is the way I broke it down to him too. I'm like, look, now theoretically, our mind is thinking since these are all violent, degenerate criminals, right? That they're just gonna have at it and all kill each other, right? Well, I think that's soft dinosaur bigotry,
mm,
racism of low expectations.
oh yeah,
Just because they've offended. So we're trying to integrate them into society, right? And we're trying to rehabilitate them, and it's not working. So we're just saying, hey, you've shown yourself that you're not really on board with this civilization thing. Not a problem. The most humane thing we can do is just go separate ways. Now, here's a possible outcome. What if they all just band together and figure out how to live together and grow food and raise animals and
no
actually
animals on
create?
Violence
Oh
Island.
yeah, well we can't have well
No animals
not for the
are
rape
allowed.
offenders. There,
Yeah,
there might be problems,
yeah.
but let's say, for argument's sake, that they craft a situation. Like, would that be the worst outcome? And now, think about this. Now, let's say you got the first batch of people in Violence Island, and let's say you drop off a new batch every 2 years or whatever. Now you've got people who now have skin in the game, and they have a stake in the quality of their civilization. They want to preserve it. How do you think they're going to treat this utopia that they've crafted with respect to the new arrivals? Right? Now they see the burden that they've been on society. Now you've built
Mm.
something, and now new people are coming in, and they may be hell bent on fucking it up. And now you kind of learn. Now you can never come back because you're on Violence Island, but at least now you kind of have the opportunity to come full circle in your rehabilitation and say, you know what? I was this asshole. I was fucking up this shit that other people built. I get it now. I get it now. And because maybe there's no animal husbandry, but we still have a vineyard or something, we have a way to sustain ourselves. We've created a social and economic order so that we can preserve and thrive. And we're monitored by a military island base like 3 miles off the coast to make sure we can never escape. But we've built a nice little experience for ourselves here, and we wish to preserve it. So either way, they're rehabilitated. And if they can't be rehabilitated, if they do just wipe each other out, either way, they're not our problem. But they've been given an opportunity. Hey, you didn't like the civilization you're in. Here's the opportunity to craft your own. You can build it however you want, and then take on the burden and responsibility of preserving it as new arrivals come every 2 years.
Mm. That's amazing. I honestly never thought that far ahead. I was
as, as he continued to press me, I had to think it through. I had to keep
right.
coming up with possibilities.
Dude, I
Yeah.
never thought that far ahead. I was happy with it exactly where it was, but that does give it a whole new spin. Because my whole point was these people they've had their humanity revoked. So if they go there, whatever happens, happens. But if they actually found a way to build a society, I guess it would be dope if I wouldn't give them no seeds or nothing like that. But if they could find like local edible stuff that was growing on the island, they figured out how to fish and stuff like that, I wouldn't be mad at that at all. I'd be like, okay, they're starting to be civilized. Like you said, there's absolutely no way you can come back. But it would be interesting to see that type of evolution from those type. I guess that's technically what happened in Australia, right?
I
Like
don't know
they
too
just
much
didn't
about
kill
the
each other.
history of Australia. I, I know it was definitely a prison island for Britain, but I'm not too sure how it went from prison colony to its own country.
What it
That I
because
don't know.
they found camaraderie in the hatred of the Aborigine. So that gave them something to
Is that
focus on.
what happened?
Yeah. It was like, why are we killing each other, mate? You, you can just kill these blacks over here. That's pretty much what happened.
I mean, we're all criminals, but they're abos. Come on now.
Right. At least we're white. That's
Well,
bad
really,
racist, right?
what?
Is that
It's
racist?
it's really racist.
It is?
It's
Okay.
racist that they would do that, and it's also racist that we would just automatically assume that they were that racist.
No, they were. There's historical evidence that they were, but I don't know if actually bringing it up and citing it is racist. Maybe it's the accent. Doing the accent is culturally insensitive, possibly.
Could be. We're probably not doing it as well as we think we are. It
Right?
could be.
Yeah. So I won't accept racist, but I will accept culturally insensitive.
Culturally insensitive. Yep.
But on my behalf, I was being culturally insensitive towards the criminals and not current day Australians.
Fair enough. And everyone that
Nice.
you might have been offended or might have been offended by that has long since passed.
Right, exactly. Done. See how nice that wraps up. Put a cute little bow on it. Now nobody can be mad. That's better than a disavow.
Well played. Maybe that's gonna be the resolution for 2021 is disavow is too cheap. It's a cheap escape pod from the responsibility of crafting some bullshit narrative to justify everything we just did. I like the challenge of the latter.
I
Much
do.
better.
I really
Yeah.
do. Yeah, I like how easy you can come up with some mental gymnastics to put yourself back on the woke throne. You outwoke everybody else. Check my woke facts, motherfucker. What's your
They were
numbers?
all racist. It doesn't even matter.
Right.
Are you
Doesn't
kidding
matter
me?
how
And
you
they're
think.
dead. They're dead racists. I did dead racist accents, not current Australian accents.
See?
Come
Totally,
on.
totally different. I love it. Yeah, that's been adopted. That's etched into the pillar. That's for sure etched into the pillar. Dude, that's amazing. Australia is one of my favorite places because a lot of people don't know about this shit. I brought it up to friends of mine before who were trying to deny that white supremacy built the whole world. But so we were just talking about it, and I happened to bring up Australia, and he thought I was talking about like the plot of a movie or something. He's like, "That's not like real, though." I was like, "What do you mean not real?" It's like that really happened, like in real life. It's like, hell yeah, bro. Just look it up. Like, just look up how Australia was from. Like, just all of the stuff is there. We know about Miami because of Scarface, so it's not like the precedent hasn't been set of some country just sending the fucking scourge of their society someplace else. Like, yo, just go over there. So we know about it. We know what happened, and that was on a small scale. What happened in Miami, so and the whole state has changed because of it pretty much, right? I mean, what was going on in Florida before that shit happened? That's a good question. What was Miami like before that happened?
Not a lot of development. Yeah.
Wow. Was
I
there
think
crime? Was
you
there
could
like
argue
mafia
the
dudes
whole
there or
state.
something?
I think there was some organized crimes scattered in certain parts in Tampa, Miami, but nothing like once cocaine got introduced.
Oof.
And I'm sure it fueled the economy so that there was if you look at the skyline of the major cities in Florida in the 60s and then in the 80s,
Yeah,
lot of busyness.
cocaine
Lot of
skylines.
busyness.
Yeah, a lot of cocaine skylines for sure. I mean, hey, listen, people need cocaine, man.
I don't think people need cocaine. People want cocaine.
They need it, especially in
Co-
places like Miami. What would Miami be? Miami wouldn't even exist without cocaine. If you took away all the cocaine right now, today, there's no cocaine. Miami shut down, bare bones, ghost town in 45 days.
First the strippers all leave. Then
Right.
then all of the finance people are out the door. Pretty soon, yeah, you've got
Gone.
nothing.
Yeah, less than 60 days. Miami looks like Flint, Michigan.
You've just got the homeless, and they'll be like pigeons with nobody to feed them. Where all the people go?
Right.
Nobody
Right.
to panhandle.
It'll be like the Middle East. There'll be abandoned Lamborghinis in the street and shit. Everybody just left. They're just fucking gone, bro.
It was the Great Coke Dust Bowl of 2021. It all dried up.
Oh,
People
that coke
packed their
dust bowl.
belongings and they headed for whiter pastures.
Yeah, cocaine was the lifeblood of that town. I love it because it's true. It's funny because it's true. It's funny because I mean, okay, so what's keeping Vegas alive?
Prostitution.
Right. So yeah,
Prostitution and what the
a little
mafia
bit of
collects
gambling.
from all the gambling.
Yeah, gambling and prostitution. Well, gambling is probably still the main backbone because I don't think people buying that much pussy. There's more casinos than there are whorehouses. Well, not
Oh
whore.
no,
What are they called
for
now? They're
sure.
called like
Cat house.
there you go, cat houses. But yeah, so gambling's still the main thing. So
Oh
they just
yeah.
you can't get rid of that. You can't get rid of gambling because there's no victim really. Well, there's a victim, but not really.
But the victims are the people who aren't organizing the spread and fixing the games. Those are the victims.
Well,
The
not
people
really,
that don't know their money.
because they have to go there with a pocket full of quarters. Like you got to go there, you got to bring the quarters, you got to continually shove the quarters into the machine. It's hard to call them victims. It's
Oh,
more.
I meant
It's
just sports betting.
oh, sports betting. Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah. No, everybody that's trying to, if you're trying to win money in the casino, you've already lost.
Oh,
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
that's
yeah,
not happening.
yeah. They don't even count. They
Yeah,
don't even
yeah.
count.
That's just
Yeah.
you knew you were a victim the
Right.
the moment you came in.
You
The
the
odds
people
were
who are
against.
betting, they're betting the house on, the horses and shit like that. I want Sugarfoot in the fifth. Sugarfoot in the fifth by a nose. I don't know what the fuck. Yeah, so all of that shit, those are the ones getting screwed because there's no real way to unless you got an inside track on a doped up horse or something like that. Like there's no real way to win in in that shit consistently other than cheating. I
Yeah,
can't
you'd
imagine
have.
you could read about the horses and be like, "Oh, this one was just in a different state for 3 months, and that cold air is going to slow down." Like, I don't think there's any logic to that
Nah,
shit. You just pick a name, and if you win, you win.
nah, you're putting on a ski mask. You're breaking into stables and Nancy Kerrigan horses' knees. You're fucking with horseshoes. You're making sure there's accidents with jockeys.
Right?
That's the only way. I don't know.
Yeah, because I don't think you can. I don't think there's horse stats out there that matter. No, I don't think. I can't imagine that there's any real legit research you could do on horse races or like dog race. Could you imagine having research to do the what is it the dog races, the greyhounds and shit? No, there's nothing. You just look at
I
his
don't
name.
want to see that dude's life. I don't want to see him up early in the morning, stressed the fuck out, reading the paper, sipping coffee, trying to get all the details. Have they written about sugar biscuits? Is there any news on sugar biscuits?
Oh yeah, he's got diarrhea. Fuck.
He had soft stools last week. He
Oh
could be
god.
dehydrated. He's going to cramp up.
Yeah. See, yeah, it's useless. There's nothing you can do, and that's what makes it stupider to me. I'd rather I'd rather be like in the stock market or some shit like that than going to look at dog names. Like, okay, there's Super Pup, there's Spider
Need
Baby.
their backstory.
Right, right, right.
Yeah,
He's
their
been in and out of
backstory.
shelters for the last year. So he's got a chip on his shoulder. Might make him run a little faster.
He's hungry.
And that one's pampered. He's a pussy. He's gonna lose. Yeah, there's no way, bro.
When you're the dude that knows about the dog track stars like racing trading cards,
Oh god.
and it has all their stats on the back, and you got the full collection, and you got them in the little plastic sleeves. Yeah, it's gone
Yeah,
too far.
it's way too far, bro. The only
Oh,
thing. Oh, okay. So top 10 Greyhounds at Palm Beach is Speedy Pebbles, Speeding Bullet, Bet America, Too Hot to Handle, KB's Like a Fox, PJ PJ Smoke 'em Out, Hustle It Up, and Small Bev. Right.
Ah,
So who do you
great name.
who do you even? So you go there and they're all their names on a piece of paper. You were like, all right, get me Smoke 'em Out in the first, Too Hot to Handle it. That is ridiculous, bro. Absolutely ridiculous.
Where's the infomercial for the guy selling the plan on how to get rich from dog trading? The late night
Dog
infomercials like,
trading.
I will show you my proven technique of picking winners every time. I have a proven system.
Dogs with 3-syllable names tend to run a little faster than dogs with 4-syllable names on average. 3.5
I'll
seconds.
show you
On
how to
average.
get the breeding documents from their birth, how to check their bios, to get the access to the current news about each dog's condition. Yeah, where's the dude that has like won every Kentucky Derby? He always picks the right one, and he just has it. Yeah, I don't think there's a guy that got rich like that. Like just people that got rich from the market. I don't think there's people who figured out the horse game or the greyhound game. I
Yeah,
just don't see it. But it
there's
would
no
be an
figuring it out.
hilarious infomercial to make and to see how many people would cough up their $500 to get access to the insider information that
Holy shit.
only Reginald Chaz has.
I just found something that says the number one box produces the most winners statistically. So the
Hmm.
dog that's in the first box wins more often than the other. See, oh God, don't let me get into this fucking rabbit hole and find out that
Somebody's gonna move all their money out of their trading account
oh,
and put it all on box one.
oh, see, well, I'm done already. Every year, thousands of young and healthy greyhound dogs are killed merely because they lack winning potential.
Oh
We're
wow.
injured. Yeah, so they're just killing all the ones that don't win. Oh yeah, see, I don't need this in my life, bro. No thanks.
That seems a little harsh. You don't even want to find like maybe a good home for them. You just
Now, who the fuck wants a loser? Who wants a loser as a pet, bro?
Yeah, you're right. We're better off just getting the soap out of it. You're right.
That's the yeah. So that's the only
Just
way
the
to deal
soap.
with them, bro. Nobody gonna. I don't think anybody wants a greyhound anyway for any other reason than having them win a race. Who wants a greyhound for fun? You know, keep them in your hipster apartment and
Yeah.
let it go fucking mad because it can't run full speed ever. Yeah, it's the best things humans could do is kill the losers. At least that way they can try to improve the breed and actually make it a little better. I know that sounds kind of racist, but it's dogs.
Yeah, eugenics doesn't count if it's applied to other species.
Yeah, yeah,
We're only super offended when it's applied to us because we're so much better than the animals. But
yes.
anything else we've meddled in to breed winners, yeah, that's perfectly fine.
I think that's called what anthropocentrism or something like that.
It's too complicated for me. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like people who think humans are like the default of existence, like they're the highest, so they don't give a shit about nothing else. It's like, yeah, you can do that. They're just dogs. Just throw them in the fucking river. Like, oh, you're
Ugh.
an anthrocentrist. You're humans first. It's like, kind of, a little bit, not all the way, but a little bit. At least most of them.
You ever see those videos of how they dispose of the animals?
Well, like the chickens and stuff like that.
No, like at the pound, and they
Oh
get rid of
God.
like all the
Oh, don't they
dude.
freeze them all?
I saw them. They just gassed them in a box, and they just kept gassing them, and they just put another layer on top of the dead puppies, gassed another batch, and then put another layer in, and they just gas them. It's they Hitler the dogs,
Wow.
and it's disturbing. And there's like hundreds of them on top of each other in a box, and I guess once they're all gassed, I don't know where the box goes from there,
That's
but
not.
I'd
Oh, I know
assume
where
they're
the
making
box
something out
goes.
of it.
Yeah, they are dog food.
Ooh.
Yep. Yeah. There's I know there's euthanized animals in dog and cat food. Some brands, not all brands. But yeah, I did find that out 5 or 6 years ago. They take them and they boil them down like they do when it animal bones when they're making gelatin or something.
And we make all the animals cannibals?
Yeah.
Animal cannibals?
Yep.
That's horrible.
Yep. Rendering facilities. So the same people who give them the diseased livestock, all the takeaway, the refuse from all of those places include the the shelter kills, the euthanized animals, and they just cook it all up and make dog food out of it.
I thought we just made them into like soap and lampshades.
Nope.
That's
Nope.
awful.
Gravy Train, Kibbles and Bits. Skip. Okay, you can review it for. Yeah, they have animal refuse.
They're not lying. There's truth in advertising. Kibble
Yeah.
and bits. You get them both.
All the bits and all the
All the
kibbles.
bits.
Oh my gosh. Oh, and then it says they contain the lethal drug pentobarbital, which is used to euthanize cats and dogs. So it's still in the dog food.
Ah.
The euthanasia drugs are still in the dog food. Gosh, man, what the fuck, dude? I don't know. How is there no better standard than this? How is there nothing? There's nobody in the FDA that's like, yo, this is fucked up. They're just like, okay, yeah, yeah, we can do that. Yeah,
But
we
I
can do
mean,
that. We can put dead animals in it.
now put your little CEO hat on, and you're in charge of the Kibbles and Bits empire, and you're looking at the margins, and you see how cost effective it is to take these puppy remnants. I mean, what else is going to happen to them? It sounds messed up, like there's something that immediately causes like a knee jerk revulsion. Just we're feeding the dogs, but the dogs are already dying, and the dogs eating the other dogs. I mean, they don't seem to mind.
And they
They're
might end up in
eating
the
it.
same place anyway, right?
Well, they're destined to end up in the same place. I mean, it's inevitable.
Gosh,
It's
dude.
inevitable.
It's
So I
terrible.
mean, I don't know. And there's way too many. Bob Barker, that used to be his thing. Get your cat and your dogs, get them neutered, spaded, whatever.
Right.
Cut their genitals off so they can't make any more. There's way too many. And I mean, we can't even take care of all the people, and we're just making more and more animals, and we're specifically making animals in accordance with our desires for attractive traits that render them completely useless. So we're we're literally just making mouths to feed. So
Yeah.
when that's kind of the energy behind it, I mean, you gotta find a way to get them their protein. I mean, there's just way too many domesticated animals. I don't know what else the solution would be.
Dude,
So I kind of get it.
the scrapple and the spam has got to be just as cheap as the dead animals. It's scrapple. It's butcher room floor. It's fat back. It's bullshit. It's chitlins. That shit's got to be just as cheap as the dead. Are you telling me that chitlins cost more than a bucket of dead cats? I feel like the price point is negligible between those two.
I don't know. If you own a cat or a dog and you die, they're gonna eat your face. So it's not like they're picky about what they eat. And they would eat other dogs and cats if that's all they had
That's
to eat.
probably true. And but I guess the worst part is the euthanasia drug being in the food.
I
That,
mean, maybe they get a little buzz.
it just
Maybe it's like
it,
smoking leak. It's just got some euthanasia in this kibble.
oh, shit. Maybe so they're just getting high off their dog food.
That's why
Just
that's
give
why they
them
keep coming back for more and more. Like this is just horse bone and pound puppy meat. But but Squiggly Bear just seems to love it. He loves
that's,
it. He can't get enough of it
that's all he
because he's
does is
high out of his
eat,
mind.
sleep, and eat. That's all he does. Eat, sleep, eat in that order. Yeah, that's terrible. That your pets are almost dying every time they eat. It's just, it's give them a little heroin high real quick.
They
Let
get a
them nod
real
off in the
nice
corner.
buzz.
God, fuck it. I guess I'll just leave it alone then. Somebody's got to do something with all them dead animals. So we can't just
Ex-
compost them.
exactly. And again, they're kind of disgusting creatures, and even if they love you every day of your life, if you die and they're alone in the apartment with you, they will eat your face. There's been bodies found. Somebody dies, an older lady, she got a whole bunch of cats. The cats have eaten most of her by the time she is found. she cannot have an open casket. The animals that she loved and cared for, they didn't think twice. Like, this bitch ain't
Yeah,
moving, and we can't reach the cupboard, so we're just gonna have to eat her face.
it's true.
So,
True.
they got their survival instinct. They're not on a high enough level to where, I'm totally concerned about. I don't know. If I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think we should go out of our way to harm animals, but I'm not trying to give animals rights. I don't care.
I ain't trying to give them no fucking rights or
I'm
nothing.
not no. I'm not trying to give them rights. We should treat them kindly as the weaker species. They don't have as the capacity that we do, so we should respect their life force and not mistreat them. But as far as like, yo, should we really just be feeding them themselves? They don't seem to mind it. I don't care. I don't
Yeah.
care. But I'm not a pet person. So I don't know. Maybe I'm the wrong person to ask.
Yeah, I'm a little bit of a pet person. I'm not like a, let them sleep in the house kind of guy. I'm not that far gone. I might let you sleep in sometimes, but other times I'll be like, yo, get the fuck out of here. Go outside, do your job, watch the chicken coop. I'm that kind of pet owner. But I definitely get it because especially when they start breeding, you don't get them fixed in time and they end up pregnant cats and shit like that. It's just like, yeah, I totally understand why somebody would put you in a fucking freezer in a pillowcase and then cook you down to dog food. I get it. I totally get it. When they start breeding too much, I understand completely. So basically, fuck domesticated pets.
Absolutely.
They're the worst thing in the animal kingdom technically right now because they have way too many genetic diseases thanks to humans. Most of them are useless in the actual wild, and cats kill more birds than anything else in the local environment.
We've
And
bred the best features out of them.
right,
They're 40-year-old kids who haven't moved out. They have no skills for the job market. They
right,
have absolutely no productivity. They have nothing to offer. They're like Kardashians and Paris Hiltons. They're
right.
just they're there for our like emotional pleasure. Like, you make me feel good, but they can't do anything. An ox can at least pull a plow or something. You can get some agriculture done. These are useless creatures. They're here just because we can't figure out how to get along with each other. So we had to create creatures that couldn't talk back and that would be emotionally loyal to us.
Yeah.
So we've developed them solely out of our emotional dysfunction. We've created a species on the planet that serves no other purpose than to be our friend because we can't be friends with anybody else.
Nothing else in the animal kingdom trusts us.
Is
So we,
that horrible?
yeah, fuck domesticated pets, yo. Boycott.
'Cause-
They should be disincentivized from society. They're still
Yeah,
fun. People can have them and shit like that. Somebody needs to start working on whoever learns how to create sterile pets, so you don't have to get them fixed and shit.
like
Just have a breeder cat.
Monsanto pets.
Yeah, Monsanto pets.
There's
There
no
you go.
seeds in them.
Yeah, no seeds, bro. We got the breeding pairs on our ranch, and those are the
Oh
last
shit,
one.
that's
Yeah,
coming.
and we just pump them out. We just pump out sterile kittens and puppies and shit.
That's coming. There's genetic material, a 3D printer, the chromosome schematics. It's coming.
Oh yeah, you can download his quirks.
Yep.
Like you want one of those cats that drinks water with its paw. Like he puts his paw in the water and licks his paw instead of actually drinking for
Oh,
the. Yeah, you can download that quirk. That's in the new pack. That's in the new cat quirk pack.
I mean, because the people that like they get their animals like clothes and sweaters and they pose pictures with them and they share ice cream cones together and
Yeah, fuck all
it's
that.
just it's just too I don't know, man. I don't want to be judgy. Like it's fine. Like I could still be cool with you. I don't think you're a bad person, but I'm not gonna sacrifice my opinion about that shit. That shit is just weird. It shit is just weird to be that affectionate with another species. I
Yeah,
can't do it.
it is. I mean, I can do like a shroom trip kind of, nature walk kind of vibe where you and you're sitting outside and you see a bird and shit, and you kind of just commune with that energy a little bit. I could see interacting with the environment, but when you start kissing shit in the mouth, it's getting weird. We gotta just be honest. We gotta be honest. It's getting weird once you start kissing other species in the mouth. I don't know, dude. I feel like that's a line that we crossed a long time ago, and we kind of ignored it. You know, we're
But
straying further and
where
further.
did that come from?
White
Where
people.
did that?
And
66 trillion years
that's it.
ago.
Yeah, this is some Yakub downloaded the bestiality trait in, into the recesses of white genetic memory,
Oh.
and somehow it just crossed over. It left the caves, and now they sitting in $3,000 a month condo apartments, kissing dogs in the mouth on TikTok.
Because the dogs will like I'm not a pet person, but animals will like you go to somebody's house and they got a dog and they'll run up on you and they'll immediately start trying to lick you in the face.
Right.
And I'm wondering, like, is this learned behavior,
Yes.
or is there something that's instinctual within the animal that they just like licking faces?
Well,
That's just the way that they show affection.
I think dogs will do that shit naturally because in their little packs and shit like that, that's how they try to get treats and shit from other people. They lick them in the mouth to see what you've been eating. You had some meat today? Oh yeah, I can taste it between your teeth. So it's like that's why they do that shit. They're trying to check and see what you've been doing and if you got any left. That's what that is. That's the type of behavior that,
Ah,
especially like if they're licking your
so it's
hand or
not
something.
even that they like you.
No.
They're just whores.
Yeah, it's information. Like, what did you had a taco
Completely
earlier?
whores. They're gold diggers. You got any taco for me? I know you had some. I licked your mouth. You
Yeah, I know
told
you
me
had a
all
taco.
your secrets.
I,
Yeah.
I know you had a taco for sure.
Where's the rest of it?
Hey, that's literally what they're doing when they lick your mouth. They're trying to figure
Wow.
out what you had and to see if you got any left.
And we're such narcissists. We're like, oh, they love me. They're kissing me. They
Right.
love me.
No,
I love my dog because I come home and the first thing my dog does is jump on me and lick my face because he loves me. No, he
yeah.
wants to know what you've been eating and
He's
he
getting
wants some.
yep.
He
He's
doesn't
getting the
care
rest of that
about you.
chicken salad out of there. You got some of that chicken salad left over. He's getting it out. He's like, I'll take that, buddy. Yeah, it's a reward for them. Anytime they can taste something that they didn't get fed directly, you had some Chipotle and shit a couple hours ago. Your dog lick your mouth. He just got a treat. That's a treat for him.
All right, and what about the shoving their face in people's crotches? What's all that about?
Oh yeah, that's regular shit that they do to each other because that's where the most fucking smell is gathered. It's just they got these
So what's
intense
up with this
ass
smell?
they got these intense ass noses and they like, yeah, I seem to be a lot of concentrated pheromones right here. You just get a face full of this real quick. Yeah, this guy's horny. This guy ain't getting laid at all. Yeah, they know
Wow.
what's up. Yeah, they know how to figure it out. We fuck dogs up pretty bad too. We fuck them up pretty bad. I think pets should be disincentivized for the future. Somebody should be trying to figure out how to breed sterile pets because we can remove the middleman. Like getting them fixed, it's like, oh, it's gonna cost money. When am I gonna do it? Next thing you know, they're pregnant. So just breed them sterile. Breed them sterile. That's it. Especially big ones like Rottweilers and shit like that. They're gonna die quick anyway. They're gonna end up back at the shelters with hip dysplasia, waiting to go into their fucking gas room. So just fuck it, dude. Get
No,
them out of
and
here.
nobody talks about the dog holocaust.
Nobody cares. You know why? Because it's such a dog. They fuck themselves by being so efficient at birthing. They fuck themselves. You had 11 babies. I don't give a shit. I don't give a fuck
We can
about you.
lose a few.
Yeah, more than a few. We can lose you. I got more. You have more females, so I'll just keep the younger ones. I'll just tie you outside to a tree or some shit. I'm done with you. Yeah. See, when you birth that efficiently, nobody gives a shit about you. That's
You
their
know,
problem.
I don't know, man. I
Dogs
guess I
need to
just
have
hate.
one baby. If dogs started consistently having dogs and cats started having one baby, that'd be totally different. That would change the whole game. But now you got 8. Yeah, you'll be all right. You'll be all right.
And what about, you know what's even worse than that is, you remember people that had gerbils?
Oh hell yeah, I had one.
Dude, dude, did it eat other its babies?
No, it did. It did bite them, but it didn't eat them. And I think it was because we touched them. You know, we saw these little things in there buried in the little paper shreds, and we touched them. It's like, oh, that's cool. When it came back, it bit them all and drew blood too. Like it gave all of them one good bite. Like I don't know, maybe he thought we tried to swap them with some fake ones. He's like, I gotta taste these babies' blood to make sure they're mine or what. But it bit them all. I was like, damn, this motherfucker's crazy.
Yeah.
Just as a kid, you're like, yo, you're a psycho. You just drew blood from all your babies. That's the worst kind of pet you can give anybody is a fucking rodent.
Yeah, and I heard that they'll even eat themselves.
Yeah, they're crazy, dude. The what you call them? What's the guinea pigs, the fucking all of that shit. The hamsters, they're all nutty as fuck, bro. They're not right in the head. It's
Yeah.
they come from rodent utopia. That's where they come from. So they all got mental issues. It's hard to tell when you got a psychotic hamster, but you know they all got mental issues.
Yeah, I
Better off
can't.
with
I
a
just, it's gross, man. It's gross. I just no. I only like the animals that I can eat, and I only want to be around them when I'm eating them. That's it. Otherwise, I'm perfectly okay with. And if it makes me like a George Wallace style segregationist, I'll own it. I believe that humans and animals should be segregated.
Yeah, I mean, white people in general. That's how we got this animal integrated society. You can't keep them away from them. They love them so much. They do. They just love them so much. People will express deep, profound love for an $8,000 African bird and keep that motherfucker in a cage its whole life, and it lives like 40 years. You know, keep it in, but they love it. They're like, oh, I love it. Oh, it's my best friend. Like, why the fuck you got it locked in a cage then? And white folks are like, that's just what we do. We just lock shit up. And fucking, I don't know, man. It's just, you know, that's just what they do. I don't understand how you could express love for a bird that you keep in a cage. It just seems counterintuitive to me. It doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. That's where, like, with people, all people are individuals, but I see us as like we're all a part of the same species. We have variants, but we're all connected in a profound way. Like if you're a human being. Once you start getting into animal shit, I just feel like yes, I get we're all a part of a bigger creation. We all have similar systems and features. We have, evolutionary common ancestors, right? And I can understand that, and I could get with you on a few things where it's like, okay, I understand the point that you're trying to make, that we're all kind of connected, and animals are a part of the greater life force, and we share this space with them. But when it comes to like affection and interaction, that's where I'm like, I'm an animal racist. I'm like, nope, they're not one of us. They're not. That's not for us. They stay on their side of town. We stay on our side of town.
Right.
We just don't. You can admire them. You could be like, oh, they're so, that bird's feathers are so pretty, and look at these cool little things that those animals can do. But they're animals. They're not. They're them, and we're us, and we can admire them. But I just never. And then it feels really animal racist. But if I'm being completely honest, it's always a way that I just always felt it's just really weird. It seemed unnatural,
Yeah.
like we're supposed to be separate from the animals. I
Right.
don't know.
No, I don't. Yeah, I feel like
Like
I
it just
definitely
real quick,
agree.
like I never kicked a dog. You know what I mean? Like I never beat an animal on some um, red shirt, psycho killer, future psycho killer shit. It's just some, uh, like I never done violence to them or have a hatred of them. It's just that kind of like deep affection. I can't. I've just never understood it.
I can get it because I know how people build relationships and shit. So a dog at the under the right circumstances, just being company. But I mean, it's the same thing that happened between Tom Hanks and his fucking soccer ball when he was trapped on a desert island and shit. He had a deep relationship with a soccer ball because he was going crazy. So I can definitely understand how, especially an animal that can show you affection and shit like that. So I get it, but at the same time, we've done so much to take them out of their natural habitat and what they normally would be. You can't even really because you can't go have a relationship, not a long term relationship with like a wild wolf. He'll fuck you up. And eventually, these dogs, like you said, imagine what we would do with a human who was like, oh yeah, he died in here the other day, and I didn't feel like going to the store, so I just fucking ate his head. I
Just
started
say this
chewing
face.
on his cheeks and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck are you doing? So it's like a dog. If your dog is trapped in a house and your dog can just start eating your face after a couple of days, it shows you that there's a level of consciousness that doesn't exist in this animal. And fundamentally, when it all comes down to it, it doesn't really give a shit about you. I feel the same way. I mean, most of it you can see in regular, animals that people shouldn't be fucking with. Like they out here, you got a lion doing tricks one day, and the next day he whoop your ass. And bears and shit like that. A dude raised a bear from a cub, or he goes out here and he feeds them. And he's a bear conservationist. They'll fuck him up. They'll be like they don't know the difference between him and a hunter. They'll just rip your head right off. They don't give a shit. So I think it's a part of that human, that dangerous minds white savior complex shit that has them out there thinking that they really have relationships and connections to these fucking animals because they'll just beat your ass, bro. I seen a video of a horse once, and it was the reason it was funny is because it was so indicative of how humans think they are in the environment, how they see themselves in the environment versus what they actually are in the environment. This dude was out on his bike somewhere doing some, cross country cycling type shit. And he's out in the field and there's a bunch of just wild horses out here just run. And it could have also been somebody's horses from a ranch who escaped or something. Who
Yeah.
knows? But they was just out running in the grass and shit. And dude rode up near him, got next to him, and he stuck his hand out all soft like he was in a fucking Pocahontas movie or some shit like that. And the horse tried to bite that motherfucker's arm off. The horse just tried to bite him with his big ass teeth, and the dude's like, "Oh, shit! Like, yeah, bitch, this ain't no Disney movie. That animal will whoop your ass." You think he's gonna hear some soft music playing and just let you pet him and gesture for him to get on your back? He's gonna take you to the garden, motherfucker. He's gonna bite a chunk out your goofy ass. What is you
Just
thinking?
like, come on, get on.
Yeah, I know a place where you could stay young forever. Fuck out of here. That's not what's gonna happen here.
He just gestures for you to get on him.
Yeah, he just kneels on his front two legs. I think he wants me to ride him.
He's gonna bite your arm off, and then he's gonna kick you in the chest and crush your sternum.
Right. You're gonna wake up in a hospital with a missing fucking arm and a cracked sternum from a horse kick. That's your problem. You did that for thinking you were a Disney princess. This is
Yeah.
the real world, bro. Animals will whoop your ass. You could rescue a dog from a freezing lake. He's been out there dying for 11 hours. You could take the pick all the way out there and go across, shimmy across the ice, pull him out the water. That motherfucker will gnaw your whole arm off. He'll gnaw your whole fucking arm off
How
because you
hungry
picked
I
him up.
was in that freezing water. I've been waiting
Right.
for
Or
this.
fuck you for trying to rescue me. Either one. Like, you reach your hand out to me. The dog's not going to be like, oh, this is help. He's like, get the fuck away from me.
Right.
Humans think they're heroes all the time, bro. And that's how they get their asses whooped. The bear man, bro.
You
Dedicated his whole life to
you
bears.
saw that the Grizzly Man? You saw that documentary?
Yeah. Dedicated his whole life to grizzly bears, bro. You heard the way he talked about him, like they knew who he was, and he had the
Yeah.
spirit of bears and shit. It's like, okay,
Right.
son, all right, you say so. These bears gonna chew your whole head off, just eat your
Oof.
scalp. That's because that's what they do. They don't know you're here to help them. They don't give a fuck. Or maybe they got like some kind of concept of ancestor, the sins of the father type shit. Humans been fucking us up for way too long. I don't give a fuck if there's one nice one. I'm gonna kill you too.
You got a lot of pictures of my ancestors' heads just hanging on your wall.
Right, right. You're wearing some animal skin right now. I can smell it.
Yeah, a lot of taxidermy going on with your kind. A lot of trophies, a lot of
Yeah.
trophy heads.
Leather shoes. Yeah, I see what you're doing.
Yeah, it just seems stupid. That whole thing was just sad to watch because
Yeah.
that dude. I mean, to me, obviously, I'm not a psychiatrist. He definitely seemed to be a bit mentally ill. He seemed a bit touched. It's cool that he was finding meaning in that, but it's just one of those things where it's like, why? And it's almost too like it's kind of selfish too. Like you're not doing anything. Like if there's any kind of commitment to anything on the planet, I feel like it should be your species. I might just be coming to terms with the fact that like I'm a species supremacist. I'm a speciesist. Whatever. Like it makes sense to me. Instead of you going to serve those bears or take care of those bears, whatever, are you studying anything that's going to be useful to the rest of humanity? If not, that's not a real job. Like you're not being productive. You're not helping the
Yeah.
rest of us with our survival. And I know humans do a lot of innovative shit that's really dumb and destructive, but at least at the end of that assembly line of destruction, like there's some sort of product that's useful to some other human being. Like you literally produce nothing useful for any other human being in your passion or your life's work. All you did basically was produce a meal for a bunch of bears. That's it.
Oh my God. Yeah, you grew yourself all this time just to feed some bears.
Yeah, and you ate the shit that the rest of the humans were working to produce something productive to equip you with. Like you said, he went there with the leather. He went there with all of his accoutrements and all his gear and everything. Like, yeah, somebody invented that fucking camera you were using, and some child knitted that sweater. And yeah, you got all of those things. Cool. Those were other human beings being productive, and they gave you these services and these products that you now enjoy that are enriching your life that came at the labor of your fellow human beings who you've done absolutely nothing for. You fucking ingrate.
Right. And I see things like I think any way that humans try to improve their impact on the environment is going to help all of this shit anyway. If we try to become more efficient in how we interact and how we use our waste, and if we become smarter about that, then the environment heals on its own. You wouldn't need to do individual. Yeah, how stupid is that when you really think about it? Like people are splitting all the resources that we could be pooling towards just having a completely, better existence. You got the whale people, the bear people, you got the fucking like all these different factions.
We
You got
have to
people that just
help
try to save
them.
the cats. People there's a place you can go to right now that they're like, and you could be carrying your fucking sick puppy in your arms, like, oh, my dog's sick. They're like, we only do cats here. Fuck out of here. So like, there's places like that. So everybody has their own animal group that they want to, people save the owls. There's only 10,000 owls left, and they don't probably give too much shits about the whales, and the whale people don't give a shit about the tigers. The tiger, like, they're just all doing their own thing. We could be pooling our resources to just fix the way we interact with our environment, and that would help all the animals at the same time.
And they'll be fine.
Yeah,
Their
if we stop fucking
natural,
them up, that'll be fine.
yeah, their baseline instinct, everything that got them to this current point is that they have an impulse to survive and they find a way to adapt within their environments. That's why they're still here. They'll be fine. If anything, we just need to leave them the fuck alone. And
Right.
I love that George Carlin made that point. He's like 90% of all of the species that have ever been on Earth are extinct. And we had nothing to do with their extinction. That's just the natural way the evolution works. New species come about, they die out, other species continue on, some form of life persists. Like, I don't know, man. This has been an eye opening because I don't think I've ever really stopped to think about it long enough. But I really feel like I've got some kind of, I don't want to call it resentment or hatred, but there is like, I don't know, there's a bit of disdain, and I don't know if it's just for the animals directly or the priority that human beings put on animals. It just seems silly to me. It seems really really silly.
Yeah, yeah, it kind of does. When you put things in perspective and see how much problems we have with each other and how much shit that needs solving, it kind of
Right.
it kind of pisses you off to hear somebody's like, "Do you know that fucking orca whales?" Or you're like, "You know what? Get the fuck away from me.
But
I don't give."
doesn't it
It
seem
seems
kind of like a
so far off from problems that are right in our face that we could be dealing with. To be aligning yourself with the polar bears is a little weird.
and it seems like a cop out for not dealing with our basic dysfunction towards one another. Like we haven't reconciled all of the dysfunction within the human family. So we're like, well, these animals don't talk back and they'll lick my face. And I choose not to accept that they're just looking for food. They really love me. So it's kind of a cop out because then you don't have to deal with like the sophisticated kind of issues that are making us dysfunctional with one another in order for other human beings to connect with human beings. So the cop out is just like, well, I'll connect with an animal that I don't have to have the same kind of sophisticated and complicated relationship with in order to connect with. You know what I mean? Is that
Yeah.
an evil or unhealthy way to look at it?
Nah, that's kind of accurate. It does kind of seem like a little. It's a rest haven. It's a rest haven for people who don't want to really be involved. Just like I'll go over here and work for PETA. So you just want to be judgmental and not ever do anything important at all. Yeah, PETA. That's the place for you. It's
Yo,
fucking horrible, dude.
I love that episode of South Park where this General Cornwallis and PETA. I think it was the Puff Daddy Vote or Die episode.
Mm.
And so they didn't want to be a part of the voting, and so they go off to this like PETA camp, and it's like ran by a goat, and they all worship the goat. Like this is General Cornwallis. You must ask him if you're allowed to stay. And it was just this exaggerated love for the animals, and then the kids eventually found out that the people were having sex with the animals because of
Oh
South Park.
Lord.
So of course they have to take it that part. It's like I we love the animals. No, 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 you don't get it. We really love the animals, and it just parodying that whole like just over the top love and obsession. Like it does seem like a little weird, and maybe it is sexual when nobody's looking. Like how much do you really love that animal? I don't know. It's kind of
Mm.
creepy.
It's a fair question. It's a fair question. Anybody you tongue to tongue sharing ice cream with, we will probably assume it goes further.
If you're willing to do that in front of other people, and
Right.
and 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 you see it like it's in movies too. Like I forget which movies it's been in, but it's like they show it as like just some casual shit to do. You got an ice cream cone, you let the dog take a lick, you take a lick, you give it back to the dog, no big deal. That's your buddy. And then you
Right.
think about it, it's like, who would you ever really do that with, except somebody that you stick your tongue in their mouth?
Mm.
Like, if it's not your woman, who else are you just maybe your kid you'll share an ice cream cone with, right? But it's just like you're out with your boys, yo, what's up, son? What's up? Yo, you let me get a lick of the ice cream? Oh, for sure. Go ahead, lick it on up, man, and give it back to me. Then I'm gonna
Right.
lick it. We gonna share this ice cream together because we're
Yeah,
buddies.
that's not hip hop. That is
We're
definitely not
buddies.
hip hop, bro. Yeah, so if you could do that with your dog, we can only guess.
Right? It's because
We can only guess. Something else is
it's some
happening here.
it's some shit you would never do with another human being ever, let alone like to broadcast in front of everybody else. But there's people they're that comfortable sharing shit with their pets. It just seems, yeah, man. I don't know. I felt like I've been too judgmental this episode. I apologize. I'm gonna back off.
It's man's best friend.
Yeah, for
Man's best
sure.
friend. Not. It's definitely not a woman. It's a dog. And I'm not implying anything by saying that. I'm just saying it's just interesting that man's best friend is a dog and not a woman.
Yeah.
It's pretty revealing if you think about it. And like I said, this is not this is not something that's connected to the continent. Ideally, this is caucus things. These are caucus things. I don't know if Yakub put it in there. I don't know. I'm not sure where it came from, but this is some kind of deep reptilian plot. There's something
It,
about
it
the
is.
animal relationships.
I don't know enough about every other culture's connections to animals, but that might be true. Because I'm trying to think, and the only thing that stands out to me is how China treats dogs, and we're like appalled
Right.
about it. But they're like, yeah, it's just food. We don't care. We don't care. We'll have like 30 of them skinned on sticks, waiting to be bought.
At least
We
they're
don't have.
consistent.
Yeah, they
At
don't
least
have
they're
the same affection that we have.
China will fuck anything up. Anything that moves and looks like it might be edible, they'll fuck it up. They're gonna
Yeah.
roast it live. They're gonna put a skewer up its ass. So that's just how they roll. So for them to do it to dogs, from our perspective of how we treat dogs, it seems horrific. But from their perspective of how they treat everything that lives in their area,
Right.
it's just par for the course.
Yeah. From their mind, it's like, listen, dude, why are you making out with your food? What are you doing? Why are
But
you
see,
tongue kissing your food?
also, could that be a connection to how they treat their people? Because I mean, they don't give a fuck about no animals over there. They sell plastic keychains that are sealed with water in them and a live turtle in that bitch.
Yeah, I think so because I think the 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 theme seems to be for the rulers that rule over the ruled. The ruled are like animals to them. That seems to be a reoccurring theme. So there's the shepherd and there's the sheep. So yeah, I could see that. So if you have a society that's kind to animals or the perceived lower life forms, then maybe that's a society that's more gracious and kind to its subjects. Maybe, maybe there's a positive thing from making out with dogs.
Well,
Maybe
I
I
don't want to
missed
go
it.
that far. I don't want to
I'm
go
gonna
that
go that
far.
far. I'm not willing to make out with the dog, but I maybe I should be grateful that I live in a society where there's people that do make out with dogs, therefore as being one of the ruled and just an animal in the eyes of the rulers. Then maybe I have a little. Maybe they're more likely to be kind to me, and I should be grateful. But it doesn't mean I have to go run out and make out with dogs.
Yeah, I feel like that's still a dangerous game to be playing. That's still a dangerous game because if you just kissing a dog in the mouth don't mean you have human compassion. You might just be a fucking weirdo. You might just be a fucking weirdo. I'm not gonna tie those two things together and be like, well, I think people who kiss dogs are less likely to perform fucking lynchings in public. It's like, no, probably not.
uh,
They're
I'm
probably
I'm
the same people.
I'm waiting for that court case where like that's the Your Honor, I'd like to submit the following and then just this deep, passionate man dog kiss to show how compassionate he couldn't have been the killer, Your Honor.
Oh,
Look how
just
deeply he kissed that dog on the mouth for 48 seconds in front of all of us.
some of you in here turned your head while he was doing it. And what does that say about your character?
I mean, in a deep, passionate, like holding the dog's cheeks while you kiss them kind of kiss, like the end of the movie kiss.
See, I don't know, man. This is sending off some non-consent bells too. I mean, how does the dog have fucking some kind of syndrome where he's already been groomed enough to where he don't think this is wrong? Is the dog down with it? Like, what the fuck is happening here?
Dude ate a taco before court. It's gonna be fine. The
Oh,
dog
yeah,
is
here it
is
is.
gonna.
The dog's like, yes,
Yeah.
yes, I love it. Keep it coming. Like, Your Honor, that wasn't love. That was hunger. I saw him eating a fucking taco right before the court hearing. He tricked that dog. That dog is a victim, Your Honor. We just all watched a fucking bestial rape. That's what we just saw, Your Honor.
Objection, Your Honor. The dog did not have consent. There
He's a
was no
murderer and
consent.
a rapist.
We ask that
Murderer.
this be inadmissible, Your Honor.
Oh
This
shit!
stayed.
See, this can't go to a good place. There's no way. There's no way. Some of our biggest see we crossed the line. That's what happened. It was good that we were keeping pets and petting them and taking pictures with them and all of that. But then when you start kissing them, That's when it got bad. That's when it got bad. That's too far. We should have never let that get this far along.
Well, even if you want to get clinical about it, um, kissing period is kind of weird if you think about it.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Look, it's like it's not very useful.
I mean,
Technically.
if you try to think about it clinically, like from an evolutionary perspective, like I mean, it's not instrumental to survival. Like the species needs fucking, it doesn't need kissing. But kissing is very helpful for fucking for whatever reason.
Women.
But it's the
That's the reason.
right. All right, I'm talking from a privileged, biased, heterosexual perspective. I'm sorry. You're right. You're right. Fair point. But it's literally the dirtiest part of your body. Your asshole has less bacteria than your mouth. That's a fact.
Oh,
That's a fact. Your asshole has less bacteria, but I would be so much more willing to kiss my girl than to eat her asshole.
well, I mean that's fair. That's pretty fair, I would say.
But scientifically, it's actually you're engaged in more filthy behavior from kissing. And we're not even the only primates to do it. It's in other species. So I don't know. Maybe there's something where when you exchange the bacteria, maybe it helps you both be immune to the same shit or something. I don't know. Or
Some
maybe
kind of Anunnaki primer
right,
for
or
the
you're
ritual.
introducing your bacteria into them, and then maybe when they get pregnant, because they've had some of your DNA leading up to it, there's less of a chance that you won't be able to get the egg pregnant. I have no idea.
It's like
This is
running a
pure
startup app.
speculation.
It's it's running a startup app. You just slip a little bit of your test DNA in there, see how that goes. Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. It has to be some kind of exchange, right?
This
Why
is
else would it evolve to be such a major part of everything right now if it didn't have a actual functionality other than just like because yeah, technically when you think about it, you could do anything. You could just I mean it could be anything because it is pretty useless as far as the act is concerned. What are we about to do? Where is this taking us? And then it's when it's like just a greeting, you kiss each other, or like it's some weird shit. Kissing
if you
people on the
think
cheek.
about it too long.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is
if
some
you think
strange shit.
about it too long, it is kind of weird. But it's something that once you start crossing species that makes it even weirder. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it. I don't know.
Yeah. So like it's like we barely should even be kissing each other, let alone dogs. If you
Yeah.
kissing dogs, you real far gone.
I concede on behalf of the cream of mushroom soups that it might be something that is exclusively cream of mushroom soup. It might be. I haven't done enough research, but it feels true.
Yeah.
Experientially, from what I've seen, I think it may absolutely be true. And I don't want to paint with broad brushes, but you might be right. This may be you could be in nature.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say there's no other place it could have come from. There's literally no other place it could have come from. It- Kissing animals, the whole domesticated pet is 100% Yakubian folklore subroutines that are running in the European Caucasoid. And they introduced it
Now,
to the
I
world.
mean, they did have domesticated cats in Egypt.
Right. I ain't never seen a hieroglyph of one of them kissing them motherfuckers,
I
though.
don't know. That's the next one to get found. That's
Yeah.
the next one that's been
They've been
hidden.
hiding that one. Also,
It's just,
that was at the
just a
Vatican.
deep, just a deep tongue kiss with a
Yeah.
kitten.
That was at the Vatican. They were like, actually, bestiality is traced back to ancient Egypt. And from now
I
on, we're
don't
not
think
going to call it Middle East anymore. Now, from now on, ancient Egypt is Africa. And that's where we found
it's
bestiality.
not the Mediterranean. It's
No,
Africa.
it's Africa
You
now.
blame Africa. You can have it back.
Yeah, bestiality and homosexuality came from Africa. Thank you. I'm
Um,
not,
I don't know.
And I think that's what they'd love to be able to say it. That's what they want to say. Everybody else in the, I've only even heard that conversation coming from the Dr. York folks and like those guys that try to trace back human behaviors to places. Like homosexuality comes from Europe. It's like really? Are you sure though? How would you even? I mean, I think Europe was probably the freest place that it's ever existed because like I don't doubt dudes were banging dudes pretty much forever. I don't doubt that. But the only people to like etch pictures of dudes banging dudes on their pottery,
Right.
it was obviously a really different consciousness about it in places like fucking Greece. They were like, "Yo, this is how we roll, bro. We
Yeah.
do naked wrestling with the guys. We fucking roll around on the floor. All of our heroes got their pipes out. And like, yeah, this is how we do it."
Ice cream cones with our buddies. Buddy cone.
Yeah.
That's some ice cream with our buddies. Yeah, I've heard that same thing postulated that um homosexuality was exclusively from Europe. I know that they found some, and then people get an argument about which dynasty was ruling Egypt at that time. I do know that there are some depictions of homosexuality that were found in Egypt, but it could have been. It could have been under like the Ptolemies, and it was some Hellenistic imports. It wasn't necessarily um, originating there. But I mean, in 2021, I mean, we can see homosexuality all over the planet. So I definitely don't think it was. I don't think it necessarily. I don't know. I don't know how you could really prove it originated with one person or another. But
Yeah.
everybody's pretty much on board now. So I don't I don't even know if there's much value into to looking into it. But it's also one of those things where it's just can on some that's y'all shit kind of thing. It's just to
Yeah.
make that point. You've unleashed this upon the world. This is your fault.
Right.
But yeah, I definitely don't think that any place has celebrated it as much as yeah, Western civilization. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. They love it. They seem to have a really great time with it. And they're trying to confuse everybody right now. Did you see the super straight designation? Did you see how that got
Yeah.
born into existence?
Yeah,
I
isn't
thought
it
that was
like some
awesome.
kind of meme or something?
I
Super
love it, dude.
like yeah.
It's pretty funny. It kind of does break the wokeness. You can just turn everything back around on them. You super straight because there is a lot of hetero shaming happening these days. I've been seeing that a lot. I see a lot of people using the word as a negative heteronormativity.
Right.
I've been seeing a lot of that. So this super straight shit is right on time, bro. Because
Well, I
it's a big
started.
conversation about who you're willing to date says and what that says about you and whether or not that's like that whether or not that's bigotry choosing not to date somebody because of what their genitals are could possibly be dinosaur bigotry possibly.
Uh, I think that's the smartest way to do it. Is so there should be like 50 or 60 variants of the super straight identifier that should be introduced, and just instead of resisting it, just play the game from the other angle. And I started calling people Jerry's. That's my new slang for prudish people that are offended by everything. And
Jerry.
it's a callback to Jerry Falwell, because I remember that was from that culture in that time where everything was bad, everything needed to be censored. You can't put The Simpsons on at Sunday night because it's offensive to God. It's offensive to me, and the notion that we all have to coexist, but everybody has to agree with your conclusion on all of these things, even when it doesn't affect you or hurt you. It'd be one thing if people were doing things and it was affecting other people. But when it's literally, it's like this doesn't affect you. And that's why I think that there's such a push to identify everything as like violence. You know, okay, your language is doing violence to me. It's doing harm to me. Because then it has to be something as you having this conclusion or you having this opinion is harming me, and that's my justification for making you change it. So when
Right.
people are that emotionally sensitive that they can't tolerate people having other opinions, yeah, you're a Jerry. That's my new thing. Stop
Yeah.
being a Jerry.
Jerry's are jerks.
It
Nobody
just
likes a Jerry.
it's obnoxious and it's self-important, but also I recognize too that you have the right to your opinion too. So I'm not gonna be mad at you or write you off that I can't fuck with you on any level because that's your opinion. Just just stop trying to force me to see things your way. And if that's the way that you kind of gotta kind of throw it back at them, and that's the best way I think that you teach people. Like when David was fucking other people's bitches and he didn't want to see it as wrong, and Nathan had to give him the whole story. It's like, it's this guy and he took the lamb, and it was the lamb that he loved, and somebody else took that lamb. Isn't that fucked up? Yeah, I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna kill him. Yeah, that's you. That's you. That's the shit that you do. You fucking asshole. And so it's the same thing. Like, all right, well, actually, I am a super sleek straight, which is actually a variant of the super straight. It should just be a whole bunch of designations and then make people remember those things. But just to
Yeah.
clarify too, I don't think it would be bad because it sounded like we were kind of being a little homophobic, and I couldn't care less to be um, designated that. But just to clarify, I wasn't saying that it's a horrible thing like that these civilizations celebrated gayness. I could care less. Um, it's just as I would just say that on the reverse end, like celebrate families too. Like that's it. Celebrate the alternative to that as well. But I don't think there's a problem with homosexual people celebrating their homosexuality. But and I know other people be very offended by that. And be like, yeah, that's why civilizations fall. And I don't necessarily believe that.
I just wish
Civilizations
they could
fall for
do
a
it. I just wish they could do it without showing their taint.
I don't even care if they show their taint because you don't have to show up and be around for the taint, but it's like to like trying to frame everything as that's the good and virtuous thing and the normal, and I say normal like because even when you it's being designated now heteronormative or blah blah blah, but to have that as kind of being the kind of like it's not the trendy thing, or there's you know what I mean? Maybe there should just, as long as you're allowed to celebrate whatever it is, then I don't have a problem with it. But when it's framed as it's virtuous and righteous to celebrate the homosexual shit and it's dull and passe or like antiquated or whatever to celebrate this other, we're trying to marginalize what's been normal for so long in service of celebrating the other shit. And I don't think you have to do that. You can
Right.
celebrate the gayness without marginalizing the straightness or making that be designated the villain in the gay saga, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah. I feel like it should be enough. There should be enough action for everybody with everything on pretty much exactly the way it is. Both sides are kind of mad at the other side. Of course, again, the problem solve here is for everybody to mind their business and stop caring what other people do in their houses with other consenting adults. That would solve 98% of the problems. But there's enough action out here for everybody. The problem is the people who are on one side of it, instead of just accepting the fact that they don't have to be like they don't have to hide their sexuality anymore. They have places they can go that are just for them. They have parts of town that that kind of deals with them almost exclusively. They got
Right.
these areas everywhere. So but now what they're doing is trying to decide how other people should not only feel about what they do, they should check themselves if they're not willing to participate also, because that also means you're a bigot if you don't want to participate. So that's becoming a little bit more of an issue because you basically you went from telling people you shouldn't be able to marginalize this group for what they do, and we're like, okay, yeah, you're right about that. Okay, you shouldn't think bad things about them and stuff. It's like, yeah, I get where you're going, but that's a little bit extra. And then now it's like, well, if you wouldn't bang me, that means you're a racist bigot too. It's like, wait, come on, man. You can't. That's not fair at all. That's not
Right.
fair at all. Just to tell dudes that if you won't date dudes with dresses on, then you have a fundamental issue, and that's basically like being a closet racist.
Right. And it's absurd. And there are, like you said, like when you get in those certain circles where they're having those conversations about where homosexuality started, and having it being racialized to a specific origin, right? Those are circles where there is a lot of I don't want to call it homophobia because it's not homophobia, but just a strong distaste for all things homosexual, right? It's not like a fear. Like I hate when it's framed that way.
Right.
And I think all people should be able to hate shit. Like you can hate things and you can I think your life will be less enriched and less happy because you're going to burn a lot of energy if you're investing energy into hating, especially hating shit that doesn't affect you at all, you know? But like I I want to try to word this carefully because it's really childish and unrealistic to think that you're going to be able to get everybody to see things exactly the way that you see them. And if you really cherish your own intellectual freedom, you would totally be up in arms, or um, you would just react very intensely at the prospect of somebody else deciding for you what you had to conclude. And I think that that's really what the whole pushback is like, we've been told that being gay is wrong for so long, and now right, isn't that fucked up when somebody tells you that you have to look at something a certain way? Isn't that unenlightened? Isn't that intrusive into your mind? Especially like you said, you're not in the bedroom with that person. It's intrusive into your mind, it's intrusive into your personal interactions, and it's really nobody's business. So by that same token, like if there's people that just hate homosexuals, I have no problem with that. Don't do harm to anybody. That's where you're crossing the law. But if you just have a thing where you're like, yeah, I don't like that, I don't want to be around it, and what it is only certain people are able to hate certain people. Those are the new rules, and I think that that's where it generates a lot of resentment. Like if you're a black dude and you hate white people, that's cool. Okay, no
Right.
problem. You can say whatever you want, call people mayonnaise, whatever. If you're a white dude that wants to talk about the things that you hate about your notion of what's considered black, that's obviously not going to be acceptable. When really, it's exactly the same thing. Or if you're a heterosexual that wants to talk about how certain behaviors of gay people are annoying and what you don't like, that's unacceptable. But if you're a gay person talking about things that you don't like about heteronormative culture, perfectly acceptable.
Right.
And so, no, I just wanted to cross the board for everybody. So I could personally have the perspective that it's wasted energy hating. Your life is more enriched by loving everybody. I want the intellectual freedom to go wherever I want, and I don't want to impose any default settings for anybody. Well, this is the starting point that we all have to think from, and all of our thoughts can branch out from here. But the starting point is we all have to agree on these things. No, you don't get to dictate the starting point for everybody. Like this is the acceptable thing. And that's where I think people are really starting to lose their minds, and why it's generating like so much resentment to go the other way. And I really don't even want to get involved in the pushing on from that side for the resentment going the other way. That's a waste of energy too. But that's really where it's coming from. Is people feel like they're being pressured in their minds to draw conclusions that they don't even agree with, and at least for the sake of their reputation, whether they believe so or not, they at least have to declare it. I mean, it's almost like the fucking Inquisition. Like you
Yeah.
have to make a profession of faith.
That's a fact. And then the things that these people, like, you're already getting into the area of thought crime, and the things that these people are thinking or feeling or whatever, that's being pushed to the extreme. So it becomes normal language to say, like, oh, if you have negative thoughts about homosexuality, that's akin to genocide. That's
Right.
how millions of people get killed, is because they think like you and shit like that. Like, this language gets used like that, and it backs people into a corner, and it makes them more likely to try to protect their ideology, because you feel like somebody's trying to brainwash you or take away whatever it is that you're thinking of your own free will. You're going to try to protect it more than you will just let it go, even if it's wrong, even if you are, in some weird ass place with your thought process. If people just circle around you and tell you how terrible it is and how terrible you are for thinking that way, it's most likely just going to make you learn how to hide your actual thought process from people and not admit what you're thinking. People, that's
And
not going
it
to force people to
galvanizes
fit
your
you.
resolve.
Right, right. Because they're trying to take it away from you. So I must be right. I must be right. Look at how far they're going to try to get me to, to walk back this idea that I have. And shit's crazy. I mean, for as far as I'm concerned, what other people think about whatever you do with yourself technically shouldn't be your business. What if all it is their thoughts and how they feel? It technically shouldn't be your business. If you're asking people hypothetical questions like, "Would you date a person if?" You're already fucking up. You're already fucking up. You're looking for trouble. There's no right answers because that same answer is going to be wrong for somebody else. Like I said before, we had this conversation before. If it's a if it's a black dude who says I exclusively date black women and nothing else, he's a hero. If it's a white man who says I exclusively date white women and nothing else, he's a scumbag racist. There's no way around it. Nobody else is, and very few people are going to see that any other way than this guy being. If he says, no, I only date white women, they're going to be like, this guy's disgusting. He's horrible.
And that's what I'm saying. That the only way that you can really draw attention to the absurdity of it is to just really make sure there's equality all about. So whatever we say for any group, we have to apply the inverse of that. And if we're not comfortable with the inverse of that, what you tend to see is a lot of really complicated mental gymnastics that have to be inserted to explain why we have to have that double standard. And it
Right.
just, it doesn't stand up over time. And really what it is too is, they want to take shortcuts in foregoing the work, and which is a hefty ordeal, and it is a lot of work to do, and they just want to skip it, which is convincing the person. They want to skip that whole step. No, no, no. I don't need to convince you. I don't want to convince you. I'm trying to streamline this process. So I just have to intimidate and shame you into agreeing.
Right.
And while it's being effective in the short term, because it really is, I mean, it's the dominant culture right now. It's the dominant culture. What it's doing is it's making a lot of people, because I feel like I was one of these people for a long time, really indifferent to a lot of the shit, not even really thinking about it in a strong term one way or another. But it became so ridiculously dominant in culture and so demanding and so like I said, like a inquisition, like give me your profession of faith. I have to have it. I need to know that first before anything.
Right.
Like where I wouldn't have cared before, like now I'm kind of like, nah, I don't like that. I don't like that. And it's not even necessarily that I would disagree with you on all these other issues that are important to you. I would actually ally with you on 95% of them. But because this is your approach and this is your technique, and even if I deal with you in person and I'm going to be kind to you, even if I don't necessarily subscribe to all of your shit, I still give you that common courtesy and universal human dignity. Like, but you taking this extra step to just kind of hold my mind hostage and make demands of me, that's enough for me to say, okay, even though I would have all this other shit, I agree with you because you're taking that step. Then that I find to be so odious and inexcusable. I can't fuck with you beyond that. Just on account of that, I have to be in opposition to you, even if
Yeah.
I would agree with you on all those other things, because it's just such a I mean, it really is Nazi-esque. That is Nazi authoritarianism. It's the demand for everybody to be uniform and really it's not necessary for there to be a cohesive, cooperative, kind and polite society. The prerequisite is we all don't have to agree intellectually about these things. We can all disagree intellectually and instead have the commonality in how we treat each other. Like, okay, you don't put hands on me, I don't put hands on you. You hold the door for me, I hold the door for you. You be polite to me, I'll be polite to you. Those are the things that really matter. Not
Right.
like, well, do you recognize a person's, 58 genders, or do you acknowledge that white supremacy has created everything in the world and like it's responsible for every evil in the world and there is no wrongdoing on the world outside of white supremacy? Well, I don't know that I could necessarily agree with that in good conscience. You know, I
Yeah.
don't know that I could go along with that um, as the prerequisite for this is how we're all interacting. Like it's something that there's supposed to be a broad area of debate and the freedom of people to conclude different things. And so I just think it's such a whack starting point. Is okay, we hold all these truths to be self-evident. There are 1,000 genders. White supremacy is responsible for everything. Women are oppressed and have a horrible situation. Okay, well, and we can treat each other nice from there. Nah, it's a shitty starting point, man. Did you hear that leaked Clubhouse audio where Brett Weinstein?
No.
Oh, dude, that shit was golden. It
Uh
was
oh.
it was basically they were calling him like a white supremacist, and he got on there to engage them in a conversation, and they just shut him down and was like, "Listen, you are obviously supporting white supremacy. You need to send everybody on here at least $1,000 before we give you the platform again, because we're on here doing the work." And it is absolute insane. It's an insult to intellectual thought everywhere. Like open-minded, rational thinking. Like it's a complete affront to everything that I think intellectually curious people would find important, or to find a value. Like it was watching the cult in real time and hearing, and even like, when you're around any religious circles, if you're around Muslim people, around Christian people, you start to see like there's a certain kind of lingo that people use around each other to identify themselves as such. If you go to a church, typically, hey, how you doing today? Oh, I'm blessed and highly favored.
Right, right.
If you hear somebody say, "Assalamualaikum salam," salam alaikum, you're like, okay, that person is specifically engaged in rhetoric that identifies them strongly with this particular religious movement or culture. That shit was totally apparent. It was interesting to listen to when I separated my mind so that I wasn't just infuriated and appalled by it. It was like really insightful, like, oh shit, these people really talk and think like this, and there's absolutely no rational way to engage them, because this is the zeal of religious fervor, and they're absolutely convinced by it, and there's nothing to do. Like, before they even let him talk, he's like, well, we need you to denounce white supremacy, we need you to denounce your transphobia, like all of these things,
Wow.
like before they would let him even talk. And he's trying to make the point to them, like, I wouldn't even consider myself like, it's just it's interesting,
Hey,
man.
I'm gonna have to listen to it. I'm gonna check it out because I know they hate this guy anyway. He's been involved with this conversation for a long time since the whole event with the school and him. Jordan Peterson, like all of that shit from around the same time. And I've seen some stuff on his podcast of him talking about it. So,
And he's super liberal.
yeah,
Like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how anyone is gonna find somebody more liberal than him.
these people are psychos, though. They're fucking crazy. They're absolutely crazy. A lot of them, the ones I've heard him talking to him, or people who were dealing with that, who were involved with the whole school takeover thing they did. So yeah, they're nuts, bro. They're
Well,
nuts.
they would tell you that you need to unlearn that kind of rhetoric.
Oh,
That
because it's
that's
yeah,
it's ableist,
yeah. I
because you're
don't
saying
care.
words like crazy. That's
Yeah,
ableist language. It's
it,
insulting to people that are mentally challenged. And
I'm not.
no
I'm not
bullshit.
talking about people who are mentally challenged. I'm talking about crazy motherfuckers.
No, you can't. No, crazy is an ableist word that we must unlearn. I promise you, that was actually something that came up in this hour long. Um, I can't even call it a debate. It wasn't. It wasn't even a debate. I think they had him on for like 3 minutes total, and the rest of the hour is just them shitting on them and talking in circles. it's,
Which is
it's amazing.
ultimately their goal anyway. Is to just talk in circles and fucking blow smoke up each other's asses. None of them have any actual solutions. None of them, other than give us your money.
Right.
That
And
seems to be the
and
solution.
And they're human beings and they have value and they do deserve respect and dignity. Like I don't want to be completely dismissive of them while they're in their I know it all fervor stage. I definitely have been in that zone before, so I can't be too judgmental on it. But those people are always going to exist in every civilization. We shouldn't be giving them the reins of control when it comes to dictating how all social interactions and what popular culture is going to be. Like I feel like in any other sane period of at least this society that I've grown up in, this kind of thinking is always been reserved for the margins. Like you're supposed to be marginalized. You're it's just as like silly as a white supremacist militia movement that's prepping for the black helicopters coming. So you're stockpiling guns and ammo and Alex Jones food kits, right? And it's imminent. Jesus is coming and you need ammunition. Or you're in some backwater place and like you're the only one that can handle the snake and people come every Sunday to watch you handle the snake and not get bitten. Like that kind of really extreme religious thinking, it's allowed to those people have always been with us, right? Those people exist, and as long as they're not doing the harm to anybody, we've kind of just let them be, but we've never given them control of society.
Right.
We've never been like, hey, snake handler, do you want to tell everyone what they need to think and how they should interact and what companies need to be canceled? Do you want to be in charge of that, Mr. Snake Handler? How about you, Doomsday Prepper? Do you want to dictate what everybody needs to think in popular culture and the terms in which we all engage? Do you want those reins of power? We've just never done that before. But we're living in a time where that's what we've done. We found the most religiously fervent, incoherent, irrational people we could find who are fully convinced of their cause. And we've said, hey, you guys, be in charge of everything. Tell us what to think and tell us who's allowed to keep their job. And and
Not a
and
good idea.
who's allowed to stay on TV? You fucked up the Mandalorian. I only got 2 episodes deep. It's over. Has no point even continuing. I know how it ends.
It's still worth a watch though. It's
Well,
still
I
worth a
know there's no
watch.
more than 2 seasons.
Yeah, it's worth it. They got rid of. I know the thing they got rid of the one character for was the most like arbitrary non-reason to fire somebody pretty much ever. But everybody feels so like, and I mean, not to say it's a privilege or something like that to be able to speak your piece in public. But I mean, what are you really talking about, yo? Shut the fuck up. You're doing fine. You're in a TV show. You're making good money. A lot of people ain't even working. You're getting paid to pretend to be a fucking space cop. And you got the nerve to get on Twitter and be like, oh, treating Republicans is like Nazis in Germany. Like, yo, shut the fuck up. You really gonna compare your existence to a German under Nazi occupation because people say things to you on Twitter about voting for Trump? That's the
It's
parallel you draw in your reality?
it's not worth it, but in her defense, that is the go-to analogy for all political discourse at this point. I mean, the left is literally calling everybody that disagrees with them Nazis. So I
Right.
mean, that's already extreme. And I don't know. I descend from oven dodgers, so I feel like I get to have a little bit more say of who's allowed to be offended at Holocaust analogies. Like nothing that she said, like I got her point. Her point was just basically, whenever we live in a civilization and we just start treating anybody as the other, and obviously Trump supporters are not treated the same as Jews were in Germany. But I got the point of what she was saying of, just like hatred is the beginning of murder. You don't start out with the murder, you start out with the hatred. The hatred
Right.
leads to murder. So
But
if
it's
you
like
have
right
that
now,
level of
at this
hatred of
point in
other,
time, do you really need to be complaining on social media about some shit that's not really affecting you or something that you are allowing to affect you if it is affecting you? I don't know.
pragmatically, no. It's a dumb
Right.
move. You're making
It's
a lot of
stupid.
money to do barely any work. Yeah. I
It's
get you. I
stupid.
get it. it's silly, but it kind of makes her point though, in that only one side of the equation right now, like anybody that doesn't dissent with, or anybody that dissents at all with what's been established now as the acceptable status quo, is marginalized.
Yeah.
Is ousted. She did lose her gig. You know what I mean? There is a further chasm of people not interacting with people that don't think like them. So I mean, if anything, all that's eventually going to be left on all of these major platforms where people think it's reality is going to be a complete full-on echo chamber. You will not be allowed to be exposed to any ideas that challenge or undermine yours whatsoever. And it's almost like taking a kid who's convinced all his conclusions are right. Oh yeah, I know why the sky is blue. We live in a giant's eyeball, and it's a blue eyeball, and that's why it's blue. And I know why water is wet. And so there's no research, there's no anything. But if the only person you allow that kid to talk to are people that reinforce his misguided conclusions about the world around him, there's no hope for you to ever be able to reason with him later on.
Right.
Like, you're not going to be able to convince him. And that's what we're doing. We're cultivating a whole crop of human beings that have no idea there's any other opinions or ideas out there that challenge their own. So I don't know. I don't know. I get your point, and pragmatically, if I was her, I probably would have done the same shit. Keep my or the shit that you suggested rather. Let me keep my mouth shut and keep showing up as a space cop and get this check. I don't give a fuck. Y'all are on this dumb shit. That's cool. Pay me. I'm out. That's the smart thing for your own personal happiness. But at some point, it's like, well, what would we have to be doing as a society where we would feel like, yeah, maybe now it's time to stand up. Maybe now it's time to resist or speak up, or like, when does that happen? When people are already like on trains, like it's already happening where people aren't being allowed to be certain professions. Like, if you don't have the right kind of thinking, you had a Gadsden flag on your Facebook profile, you can't be in the military. Like, people being taken down from police in DC, like they went through people's profiles. If you had anything that was um, that met their criteria, one of which was having a Gadsden flag up, then you're out. You're out. So I mean, people are losing their jobs, they're losing their livelihoods. I mean, at what point is it like, yeah, this is kind of scary authoritarian, because I mean, if people wouldn't speak up and resist at this point, when people are basically being told what they need to think, or they're not going to have a way um, for them to have a livelihood to feed their families. I mean, how far away is it from, if you disagree with us, we can kill you? Because if you take away somebody's livelihood and they don't have a means to feed themselves, I mean, isn't that kind of the slower version of that? I mean,
Right. Or you pushing them to do something that's more extreme measures, because not everybody's just going to lay down and take it. Some people are going to be like, "Oh, really? Okay." And then you've taken everything away from them. They have even less to lose, which
and
could
that's a
also
that's
be
a
a
scary thought.
yeah, and that could also be a part of the initial plan too, because trolling is real. Trolling somebody into a reaction, that's real shit. Like, I
Sure.
think it was who was I was talking to our libertarian friend about everything that had happened when people ran down to the Capitol and shit like that and freaked out. And I told him it was like that scene in Dexter when he forces the guy to attack him. They're like in the room talking, and one of the officers talking to them between themselves, and then he just headbutts the guy and walks out of the office. And then everybody who's sitting there, all they see is him walking, and then the other guy comes running out of the room full speed, picks him up, tackles him, starts whooping his ass, and he looks crazy. They're like, "Yo, what the fuck are you doing?" He can't be like, "Oh, he headbutted me in the other room really quietly and then walked away calm and I couldn't control myself." And so trolling is real. If they want you to, they can get the type of reaction they want to get from you if they take away all your options and piss you off and show shit on the media that they know is going to trigger you. And they know eventually how certain people are going to react by their tax bracket, their family history. They know how you're going to react. They know if you're more likely to join a a protest downtown with a picket sign or a militia group and try to kidnap a fucking political official. They know who you are. That's why they're able to make those decisions. And I don't think shit like firing people or refusing to hire people because of the flag, like, I don't think that's just going to stick. Honestly, I think that's just a surface level pacification to some degree, but I don't think stuff like that is going to stick. And all you really doing is telling people to scrub their fucking social media anyway.
Yeah.
That's really, you're just teaching them to scrub that shit. It's not that they don't think that way or don't feel that way or don't hold those beliefs. They just know not to share it on social media, which is maybe possibly an infringement on whatever you want to call it, but it's social media. You don't own the platform. You put shit up there, people are going to judge you. I mean, you want people to judge you by the shit you put up there. You just want it to work in your favor. So if they happen to see it the wrong way, if you misjudge the situation, you make the wrong joke to the wrong demographic, you kind of fuck yourself. And I'm just not a person who shares that much. I mean, people get offended at some of the shit I say, and it's like the most benign and, laid back shit that anybody could post, and people still take issue with it. So I totally get it. There's always going to be somebody, but a lot of them are going for the trolling. I saw somebody post the other day, I'm sorry if you don't like it, but in my house, Potato Head is still Mister, and we still read Dr. Seuss. Right. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like you went out of your way to find. Nobody cares what you call your potato head, and nobody cares if you still read Dr. Seuss. Why would you need to openly announce that to people when they're discussing this and trying to figure out what's acceptable, what's it not? And this is how you announce yourself. Hey, I'm still going to call him Mister. Like, okay, and then what? They're trying
Why
to
would
get
you use
reactions.
a tribal band tattoo?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
That's all it is. I'm branding myself. I'm laying down the gauntlet and letting you know this is who I side with. And
Right.
so, and if you're on the quote unquote villainous end, right? So the accepted status quo conclusion at this point is Dr. Seuss was a fucking racist and Mr. Potato Head is offensive. Because, first of all, it's just a potato, it doesn't have any genitals. And I remember Mr. Potato Head, it came with a big smile and it came with some sexy lips. And you can make it a boy or a girl.
Right.
That was the whole point
No,
of having the different pieces.
no, that didn't come till Mrs. Potato Head. Mr. Potato Head had the mustache and the glasses and the hats. Mrs. Potato Head had the lips. So there was never an opportunity to cross do whatever until now. They put all the pieces in one box.
I I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I got the toys or the toys I had access to already had all of them, but I remember distinctly that all of the pieces interchanged. If you wanted back then, 1986, you could put the glasses and the mustache and have the big juicy lips. You could have made trans potato head, and not only that, why wouldn't it seems like Potato Head, Mr. Potato Head would be like the mascot for trans culture. It's a blank slate that you can make whatever you want. You can identify whatever gender you want on the fly. I don't know how it's not a symbol that champions trans culture.
Because he still only had like man stuff. He didn't have a dress, he didn't have a ponytail. It was just all dude stuff.
He was a potato. He didn't have a tie. He didn't have a shirt or any slacks either. He's just a potato with shoes.
but the fact that you attach Mister to the name is assigning a gender to him, and that is violence.
Right.
Gender assignment is
That's
violence.
what he was assigned at birth. But when Mr. Potato Head became adult Potato Head, he chose to be Mrs. Potato Head. And he could take off that mustache, he could put on those sexy lips, and he could identify with and be whatever he wanted to be, even the she. And that's what she did. Hey. And Mrs. Potato Head was Mr. Potato Head's choice.
I say they just put genitals on it and call it a day.
That's what it should be. Just big dicks and giant engorged vaginas. Just
yeah. Exactly.
Place
Just
it
like
right
that.
there. This is the most important thing.
Call it potato head surprise. You don't know which one you're gonna get till you get home and open the box.
Open it up. Open that back compartment and see what falls out.
Yeah. And all you and all genders will be stored inside the potato. You gotta crack the potato open, get the gender out, and attach it. There you go.
It's it's so. Did you see the cartoons that got canceled for Dr. Seuss?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what do you honestly think?
I have to say that most of them seemed fairly benign when it comes to the shit that I've seen in that vein. People who were purposely, I mean, the Africans did look a little bit offensive, but the one was like just an Asian guy running with chopsticks, and there wasn't. I don't think there was even like a tiny eye thing. I think it was just like his clothing and like a ponytail or something. Like it wasn't anything that I think I don't know what Asian people would find offensive, but it didn't seem like anything that would really piss people off. It just maybe other than the fact that he had chopsticks, but they do be having chopsticks, but who knows? I don't know what pissed people off about that one.
It's acknowledging the existence of anything that's different. The rules aren't even consistent, and that's why again I always say this whole movement isn't designed to solve any problems or to right any wrongs. It's just to sow chaos and discord nonstop. Whenever it can bring up an issue, it'll bring up an issue. It has nothing to do with actually solving a problem. So like I don't want like right now you could go online and you can see propaganda for 1930s and 40s Germany. And you could see like the big noses and how Jewish people, the money and controlling things and the scourge on society. You can go see those pictures online right now. I never want those pictures to be removed. I never want to erase that from history. You know what I'm saying? And if you got one of those Nazi posters on a T-shirt, I wouldn't be mad at you. So what? It's art. It's history. The difference is, was Dr. Seuss books put out as propaganda to eventually like put any of these people in concentration camps? You know what I'm saying? Because there are kind of exaggerated racial depictions of people. You know what I'm saying? Are we gonna take the Eastern Island heads and be like, yo, those are offensive? Or what is it, the Olmecs? You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
they made
That
them
statue.
themselves. We're only judging white people's creations.
Fair enough. But I mean, is somebody gonna come along and say, "Yo, the Olmecs, those statues, the lips are too big"? I feel like it's an exaggeration. I feel like it's racist. At the end of the day, all art is caricature. If you're not taking a fucking photograph, it's your interpretation of what you're visualizing. And we know that some art was created as propaganda intentionally to demonize and harm people, right? So even propaganda, and this is just my opinion. So even propaganda that was from the Nazis against Jews, trying to incite violence and hatred towards Jews, I don't want that canceled. It's history. Like it needs to be aware. The problem isn't the depiction, right? Well, that just its existence is problematic. No, it's not. So anybody that draws a picture now that resembles any Nazi propaganda, we can't have that as art. Like that's just silly to me because the intention of the art, and typically the artist is alive when they create the art, that you can ask the artist what the intention was, right? And so if you're obviously Dr. Seuss is creating pictures, right, to entertain children, pictures and literature to entertain children, not to round any particular group up. That was the intention of that artwork, right? It's not propaganda. We need to stop putting it in the same. Well, it was offensive because it was drawn differently. So what? So what is just it's that time, and at that time that it was created, it wasn't so offensive that people said, we have to stop Dr. Seuss. This scourge on society must be stopped. So obviously, it was acceptable to that culture then. I don't want to go back and rewrite history, right? Like I don't know. Like I'm not saying you celebrate the Nazi propaganda, right? Because obviously, demonizing people and doing violence to people and rounding people up based on ethnicity for destruction is a horrific thing, right? Genocide is bad. I think we all agree on that, or most of us do. At least 98% of us want no genocide.
Right.
So if that's the case, it's like we can separate the horrible actions from just the visuals themselves. And there's a context and a purpose for it, right? So I don't know that I would necessarily make a children's book based off the artistic stylings of Nazi Germany propaganda, right? I wouldn't do that, but I don't want to eliminate that artistry in that time period because it's something that really happened and it exists. We don't have to keep making shit. If that shit is offensive to us now, cool, don't make it. But the actual acts that it's designed to incite or the context in which the art is created is so much more relevant than just this looks kind of like a Sambo. This looks kind of like a characterized exaggeration of what a Chinese person looks like. Like it's a fucking whimsical fairy tale land. None of the shit in there is real. There's no such thing as a fucking Lomax. There's not a fucking Horton Hears a Who. There's no such thing as a Who. It's all fucking made up. It's all
Yeah.
made up silly shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. I pretty much agree. I know people will say that, this shit is insidious and these images creep into your kids' brains, but it seems like a fairly easy enough lesson to teach kids, especially if you're going to be buying them books that are that old that could possibly have some questionable material in it. Just read the book with them and tell them something about the characters or the shit that you feel funny style about. I don't mean you gotta completely have the shit removed, but it is what it is. I think it came primarily from, I don't know what kind of pressure was happening, but it seems like it came primarily from his own estate. Like they decided to remove this shit because I didn't hear any lead up to it like, oh, Dr. Seuss is racist. The first thing we heard of it was the books were being removed from circulation by his estate. So I don't know how much was even going on to lead up to that. Something was obviously happening, but I hadn't heard anything about it in a long time. Like, I mean, every few years it comes up that these images existed. I've seen them all before over the years and shit, but I don't know what was going on to make them move on that and take action on it right now in particular. But I think it's all seems to be pretty much bullshit to me.
It's just the uber sensitivity that I don't know, man. This is the luxury of a decadent, overprivileged society
Yeah.
who doesn't have any real problems to solve. If we got energy for this shit. The first one I remember that was in this vein was the Huckleberry Finn shit
Yeah.
with
Yep.
Jim and them
Yep.
taking out the adjective. And I'm like, we all know that that's a bad word. We all are culturally civilized in modern society to know that that's not a word you would just throw out willy nilly, right?
Yeah. Depends
Um,
on what culture you're
well,
from.
right. But again, we're only chastising the cream of mushroom
Right.
soups.
Right. Right. Okay.
So so it it's like, but that's what it was written at the time. That's the way people. Why are we trying to pretend shit doesn't exist? I don't understand that impulse. Like just because some shit exists, why does its existence have to be a problem? Because you don't have to have you don't necessarily have to co-sign it and like promote it. Like I'm glad that was Jim's nickname. Like you don't have to have a feeling one way or the other. And it would almost be like too, because okay, well let's go. Um, I love the Dolomite shit. Sometimes I'll be by myself just thinking, and I'll just hear the voice in my head. I can't do it, but I'll just be like, Moses, bring me them dick skins before I kill your baby, you honky motherfucker.
Close enough.
Dolomite is God.
He is
Issued out the
forever.
commands. Now, what if we're like, listen, we don't want to make Dolomite look bad. Let's go back and edit the Bible and take out all the murdering. Let's take out all the dick skins. Let's pretend that this ancient book from hundreds or maybe thousands of years ago, right? We would never think to have a movement to say, well, these are offensive ideas. And there's rape. They raped one woman. They gang raped her to the point that she died. In
Right.
Judges, it says they abused her all night. That's still in the Bible. Nobody was like, listen, this violent rape to death, this gangbang to death, this is pretty problematic. We should get that out of there. Like, and I think that's what we need to start proposing to get some of this shit to slow down. Yo, the Bible is super problematic. Super
Oh
problematic.
yeah, it's one of the most problematic documents that we have. But it's already, and think about this, it's already had its renaissance. It's already been edited and rebirthed to be more palatable for society.
And it's still
And
unspeakably problematic. Rape,
unbelievably,
murder, racism,
right.
genocide. All
Racism, not only just stories of racism, but the creator itself setting the precedent for racism by having a favorite race of people. Yeah, the shit's pretty bad. But I mean, but we accept it because of the quote unquote. I think it's a good pillow for a lot of people to think that there's a big plan and the guy who has the big plan left us a book. That's just super cozy. That's a really cozy thing to sleep with at night. It probably holds a lot of the normalcy in our society together. You see how all these big church guys they be debating atheists and shit like that, and they all say the same thing. They're like, if there was no God, why don't you just rape and murder everyone you see? You're like, bro, is that really how your brain functions? If there's no punishment, if there's no, then we just gonna get to raping and murdering. That's how you feel about it. Tell us what you're really thinking, buddy.
right. That is I always found that to be an unsettling um angle to take because essentially you're saying uh your belief of God is the only thing that's keeping you from raping and murdering everyone in this room. Like
Right.
there's no like I like you, I respect your humanity and
Nah, fuck all that.
ability to exist and I wouldn't want harm to come to me, so I wouldn't want to inflict that harm to you.
Nope.
It's like nope, there's no God, it's rape and murder time all the
Right.
time.
And they say it so matter of factly and smoothly, like that's the only option. You either have God or you have constant rape and murder every day, all the time. That's
All
the
the
only
time.
two ways it goes.
And the Bible has God throughout, and guess what? It's filled with
Still.
rape and murder. So there's still rape and murder going on even with
Yeah.
God.
And that was
So
back when he was opening the sky and speaking directly to people with the thundering voice and shit. Like they had no question. He's still so he's watching us, right? Yeah, he's watching us. I'm going to Sodom. Fuck it. Fuck it. Got to do what we got to do. It's the weekend. We'll go see what's cracking over in Sodom and Gomorrah.
Saul, I told you, fuck them Amalekites. Fuck them honky ass Amalekites.
Yeah, this shit don't make it. Don't it, it doesn't hold up to scrutiny, especially when you consider how we claim it affects our society versus what we actually do with it and the concessions we make for people. Nobody really. I don't think anybody really gives a shit. It's
But
just a
regard
thing that we have.
it's a thing, but regardless of how you feel about the Bible, do you think it's really inspired by God or is just a product of humanity over a long period of time of a particular culture and maybe a hodgepodge of other cultural and mythological sources, right? Whatever your conclusion is about it, you understand there's a lot of problematic themes, but you understand that it's a product of the time and you wouldn't fuck with it because it would be an insult to the culture and the history that preserved it. Even if there was, we understand there were certain points that compiled it and translators that were brought in, and there's the Textus Receptus or whatever the fuck it's called, the source documents they use. Whatever the case may be, you still understand that even though there's all these problematic themes, there is a culture and a history that preserved it, and there's a respect to render to it to not to not um to not stifle the preservation of that narrative and that history. So
Right.
everything is a product of its time. There's no need to change it. There's no need. I don't. If everything in Dr. if Dr. Seuss was super problematic, you know what I'm saying? I mean, just over the top, cartoonishly racist. It wasn't so offensive at that time that he was a pariah, right? And no, because the KKK existed then. The KKK wasn't writing any children's books. Nobody was looking for like my first birth of the nation, right? There wasn't. There
Right.
wasn't, Horton sees a burning cross. That book didn't exist, right? So if it's a product of its time, let it be. It wasn't offensive for its time. We understand it looks offensive now, but don't change it. Let it be like the Bible. It's got some problematic themes when you compare it with this culture. You try to look at it through this cultural context, but you still want to preserve what it was because there's also a record of where human consciousness was at that time. It's like we're treating all of history and civilization like we are fucking scrubbing a Twitter account. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Yeah.
no, no, no. Humanity was never like this. Yes, humanity was like this. It was gang raping women and murdering them. There was genocide. There was people being burned. They were so hungry they were eating babies. That's all. Don't erase any of it. Don't scrub the Twitter account. That was the literature that was produced based upon those events. Preserve it and do better. Draw better pictures. Do less genocide. Eat less babies. That's what you can do in the future. But there's no virtue in just going back and looking at some shit that other people did that had value in the time that was created and said, you know what? We need to go ahead and scrub this shit off humanity's historical record. It needs to be removed. This is some barbarian shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, thank God when people conquered Egypt, they didn't say, fuck these pyramids. This was some shit of that's some old shit. Some old
Right.
shit that we have nothing to do with. These pyramids are problematic. They look like nipples. I'm super offended. Let's just fucking tear them down. No, no. These people built these pyramids. They're fucking amazing. Maybe they look like nipples. Maybe that offends you. Cool. You don't have to build your own nipple pyramids. Just don't destroy these. Have some respect for some shit that other people built.
At least a little bit.
A smidgen. A
Yeah.
modicum.
No, I get it. I definitely get it. I'm one of those people who thought for a long time that, the Bible might need its another grace period to where people can hold it, take it out of circulation for a little while, and then put it back a little bit nicer, but a little bit less fuckery in there. But like you said, it's old cancelable tweets.
It
That's pretty
needs
much what it is.
Dolomite and Max Julian.
Yeah,
That's
they,
what
they
it
can
needs.
fix it. They can fix it. If we put it in that context, I think that'll fix a lot of people's relationship with religion. We just we just need Dolomite as Old Testament God, and everything just kind of comes into focus, and it's like, oh, I get it now. This shit's a joke. It's just hilarious.
Dolomite screaming at people to come on, honky, bring me those dick skins. I
Yeah,
need them. Bring me the dick skins, honky. It'll be the
yeah.
greatest proclamation the earth has ever heard.
We need that to happen. Eddie Murphy did the Dolomite movie recently. I wonder if we could like write all this up and just send it to him. Maybe he'll do it.
I don't
Maybe
think
he'll
he would
do it.
touch it with a
You,
1,000-foot pole.
you don't think so?
Oh, absolutely not.
So we have to get an Eddie Murphy impersonator to do Eddie Murphy doing Dolomite.
We would have to get somebody that could do a Dolomite to do it, and then just all the wrath of Dolomite, and then you get to the New Testament, and all of a sudden it's just a smooth love of a come on, baby, yeah, yeah, Goldie, yeah, yeah, just
Yeah,
real
yeah.
smooth and loving, and yeah, he goes and he talks to the woman by the well, and he's just real smooth, yeah, yeah, just a pimped out Jesus. Why was he always with hookers? Because he
He's a
was he
pimp.
was Goldie. He was Goldie.
He's
It's
a
they
pimp.
they left that part out, and you just have a super offensive Dolomite as Old Testament, kill all the men, women, and children God, and Max Julian is listen, baby, I was only joking. I love you. Let's be nice and let's love.
And the Jews who track him down, they're like, "You, you ain't no savior. You a rest haven for
Hey,
sinners. You a rest haven for sinners."
Dude, it
It
writes itself.
really does. We got all the black exploitation movies can fucking map themselves right over Bible stories, Bible situations. We can replace scenes so easily, bro. So that's it right there. That's already one right there. Yeah,
Oh,
you a
dude,
rest haven for sinners.
Dude, we just need to figure out some how to do some editing, and we could just take all the footage and just recreate the scenes. And you splice in some of like the Ten Commandments with some Dolomite movies for different scenes, and just have and do the voiceover, and you can have them in there, and it's doable, man.
I think I could do a
It's
pretty good Dolomite.
doable with existing footage. Let me
Yeah.
hear that. How would you tell the Jews to stop complaining in the wilderness? let me hear. Let me hear. Action.
Yeah, well, you gotta call them rat soup eating motherfuckers just to begin with. Just if there's anybody you want to call some rat soup eating motherfuckers, it's a pack of people you just saved, and now they over here building golden calves and complaining because you ain't doing enough for them. You know, business born insecure, rat soup eating motherfucker. Yeah, I love it, dude. I love it. We just got. See, I'm gonna have to find three. We got to find three scenes. Well, matter of fact, not even three. We're just gonna start with one. I like that scene from the Mac. That's a New Testament scene. That'd be a New Testament scene with you use a rest haven for sinners. I do like that. We gotta find.
No
So
savior.
so Adam and Eve in the garden right after they eat the apple, and Dolomite comes looking for him. That's a perfect one because he stayed pissed off. That would be good, dude. I'm gonna have to download a couple YouTube videos of those specific scenes so we can try to voice them over or some shit like that. See who else we can get involved with it.
Yeah, dude. Definitely some voice acting talent that is open minded
Yeah,
because until you see the vision created, I understand the pitch may be extremely alarming and offensive.
yeah. It's gonna sound weird, but just if you hear us out, this has got big Hamilton vibes, big Broadway vibes. It's
what we have to do is preserve the essence of the message so we don't offend uh anybody too. So it's like we're not saying that all of these things that you hold dear are not true, right? We're not trying to tear down what you love and believe in. We're just trying to package it slightly different. So I think if you preserve like the core message, right? But just put it in that packaging, I think you could get more buy-in. Or if you could
yeah,
just get people that are just completely don't give a fuck. But those tend to be harder to come by these days.
yeah. We need to meet with Matt Parker and Trey. Matt and Trey. We need a meeting with these guys. They wouldn't be able to do it themselves because it's too racially insensitive, but they could be our silent backers to make this shit happen. I think they'll nobody will understand but them or Tim and Eric. Either way, they got to be silent background partners. They can't let anybody know what they're involved with.
Yeah, they couldn't be openly attached to it. But
Yeah,
yeah, man, I think like simple, quick, like well, it won't be quick, but like 2 or 3 minute scenes, like to give people the flavor, like to
yeah,
give people and get that to the right person and be like, listen, I need you to get behind this. We
yeah.
could we could we could literally do all 66 books. We could give you a whole retelling of the
For
Bible with
real,
Dolomite. Holy.
for real. Because a black exploitation character exists for every character in the Bible. A perfect
Every
match.
character.
A perfect match. If we watch enough movies, take enough notes, it'll be a perfect match. We'll get them all, bro.
I think there was like a Black Samson.
There is. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm almost sure.
Yeah. It's because a movie called Black Samson. Yeah.
Universe
I saw
wants
the
to.
trailer a few days ago.
Oh.
Because I see it all the time because it's a dope song in the trailer, and I always wished I could sample it, but I can't find the original soundtrack. But it's a really dope song in the trailer for Black Samson. So I watch it every now and then just to remind myself of how cool the song is. Yeah, I'm one of those guys. I'll be watching black exploitation trailers. Like, you know what? I feel like watching the what's the one? Oh, nigga Charlie. That was amazing. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Yeah, we gotta make this happen. That should be high on the agenda right now. Black exploitation Bible could overtake Hamilton.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we need to either, I don't know who, like, we need some silent white backers
A
above it,
live
first and
action play on
foremost.
Broadway.
Yeah, live action Broadway play, mostly black folks, and some silent white backers, financial backers. And we got us a fucking, you know, 15-year Broadway play. And anybody who doesn't want to allow it to be on Broadway, you're racist.
Right.
Clearly. Clearly.
Come on, be an ally. Be an ally.
Here's your opportunity. Don't fuck up your woke facts over a Broadway play.
Listen, risk your reputation in millions of dollars. Just make this happen.
Yeah. So Matt and Trey, Tim and Eric are potential potential silent financial backers. We might need. I don't know. I don't think Tyler Perry would help. I
Oh
don't.
no, not at all.
Yeah, Tyler Perry. People like they like church too much over there. They wouldn't be down for Dolomite as God.
Yeah,
See how
no
that would
parts of that.
run afoul of a few people on that side of the game. Listen, I love it, dude. We got to get it done. We got to get this shit done. I got to find some video clips and download them.
You've had a lot of good ideas over this thing that we've been doing here now for a while, but I think Dolomite is God may be your magnum opus thus far. It might just be out of
Drop
all the
everything.
ideas we've
Drop everything.
spitballed.
Start casting Dolomite in Bible stories. Fucking change your life overnight. It is. It really does write itself. It's too easy. It probably wouldn't take long at all. It probably wouldn't take long at all.
You just
Yeah.
Dolomite demanding dick skins. It just makes me so happy.
Yeah, I'm telling you that's the first scene right there.
Oh,
That's the first scene right there. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find
yeah.
the perfect shot in one of his movies. I'm telling you, it's gonna all be there. When we start really looking, all of it's gonna be there. The simulation is gonna deliver it right to us. The perfect scenes.
Yeah, and there's got to be no shortage um of Bible movies.
Oh yeah.
There's no shortage for material.
Oh yeah. All kinds of Bible movies. Even some of the black exploitation movies. They got some good church scenes. All that good shit, bro. Yeah. This is it's about to get real. It's
Yeah,
about
man. Dude, amazing. Let's yeah, I'm gonna let you go, man.
yeah, we
Okay.
got to prioritize Dolomite. I've been sleeping on him a little bit, but every time I remember it, I realize how fucking hilarious it is and how much it needs to be done. So, Dolomite's gonna get put on the front burner.
Yes. I concur 100%.
But yeah, man, I'll let you roll and yeah, just holler at me whenever, man. We'll hop back on. But good talking to you, man.
Always a pleasure, man. Be easy.
All right, bless.
Peace.